Well, none of them can hide from the truth, yeah. Children have to go back to the roots, yeah. None of them can hide from the truth, yeah. Children have to go back to the roots. I'm telling you now, the truth, the truth. Telling you, yeah, the truth, the truth. You have to go back to the roots, the roots. Go to the roots, to the roots. Yeah, man, this is Benjamin out of the Smiling Coast, West Africa, Gambia, representing for the one and only Abu, the big man you don't know, the Soninke warrior, the man that brings the truth, Soninke warrior, the sign of enlightenment, the Soninke warrior, the righteous and the true African. Abu, reveal the truth to them, no matter how them try run from it, because none of them can hide from the truth, yeah. Yes, we have to dig back the roots, yeah. Fire!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Afridamus Report. I want to welcome all of you to today's edition of the Afridamus Report. As you guys know, February is Black History Month in the United States of America. So rightfully so, it would be good to give a perspective of Black History Month where it took place in the continent of Africa. I know some people might be saying, why are you bringing this topic up? I understand some people deal in conflicts, but I'm here to give you the true history. Because last time I did a topic on Liberia. But before I get into that, I want to welcome all my viewers that are in the house already. I see Audrey. Audrey, welcome to the show. Stoic One, uh, Macro Beer, Viva Liberia. Welcome in the house. All the Liberians live in live in wisdom. So, ladies and gentlemen, what am I going to talk about here today? Remember the last time I did a show on Liberia being colonized, and we've had some Liberians who came on and they totally deny this. And I can never understand why Africans tend to do this. I don't know if it is embarrassment, or they just want to, hide the truth so that they can promote Pan-Africanism. But whatever it is, okay, whatever the case may be, I was sitting there thinking for a while. I said, wait a minute. Do some of these Liberians who are coming and trying to defend this position, and of course you have your Black American Pan-Africanists who, you know, um, don't want to admit to this truth. They like to say, oh, we went over there. Those natives were selling each other. Isn't that what they were telling you? Y'all Africans sold us, as if every African, okay, on the continent was selling. In fact, many people that went into slavery, do you know they themselves were slave traders? This is why when people tell me, Afridamus, your people, you sold us, I do not respond. But I do admit, in my culture, there is a caste system. So all I know is I belong to whatever the class that they set up at the top there. But somehow they have slaves. So I know this is in every society. So when I bring topics, it's based entirely on how people understand what is true and what isn't. You see, we like to say Liberia isn't colonized, Ethiopia isn't colonized. And then when you read into Liberia's history, as soon as you start turning the page, you don't even go far enough. You start seeing that, in fact, Liberia was colonized by white people in blackface. In fact, these people, like when you talk to people, because this is Black History Month, they talk about segregation. Ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, I am not saying the colonizers that went there, that was their intention. Oh, they are a representation of Black Americans. In fact, many people that are going to come here and try to argue, you are not even related to those people. I just want to make that clear. because those people went to Liberia before slavery was even officially abolished. Okay? So, more than likely, you have nothing to do with them, just as a white European has absolutely nothing to do with, King Leopold if they are not related to King Leopold. You see? So, I found a clip that would back everything up that I tried to tell you. I would say I told people here the last time, but this time it's in the Reader's Digest form. Very short, quick video, straight to the point. I mean, it's as if this individual, I put them to this task. See, this person produced real history. That's what they produce. So the white man is not the only colonizer. We are learning that. Happy Black History Month to all my viewers, all my Black American viewers. If you are into Black History Month, this is another history that you can add, onto your knowledge. But I'm not trying to wag my fingers here, people. I'm not trying to say, hey, look, these people are evil. These people are, look, we don't know the situation. I wasn't there. You weren't there. I mean, think about it. I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a minute. You are over here. You were brought to America few, maybe 200 years prior. Your ancestors were brought here in slavery. You are in a plantation. You are in this society who do not deem you as one of them. And you are free. Technically, you are no longer under the control of a white plantation owner, but you have the intelligence to still not want, to still want to go back to the land of your ancestors. So now you found a couple of, you know, people who also have this idea because they've been promoting this, right? And you found a white man, a couple of white people who want to sponsor this. You want to go back to the land of your ancestors, Africa, because the slaves never stopped, the people they brought into slavery never stopped telling their children that they are from Africa. You guys do realize this, right? Just because they don't speak the language doesn't mean they didn't keep passing it on, generation after generation, telling them that they are not from Africa. This is why when the blacks are coming saying they're Indians, have you noticed I don't bother myself to waste my time? Have you noticed that? Because I know the people that say that they're in denial. If you have to come to me, the African, and tell me you are not African, that means you, deep down, you know that you are African. You're just like me, just born in a different country. So when people say they are Indians, I don't bother them. You go be an Indian. But those of you that still remember, the story passing from your great great grandparents to you, you know you're from Africa. You know this. You see, even most of your behaviors is just like the Africans where I come from. You know this. I see it all the time. Okay? There are some who are more whitewashed than others, but for the most part, black people in America, for the most part, the way they act, I grew up around that. Okay? I saw the behavior, the way they talk, the way they act. I see it all. So it is safe to say they are from Africa, but they've changed over time, right? Now, you, they are taking you out of the hell hole of white supremacy. When I hear some of these people talking about white supremacy, they don't know anything about white supremacy. You should read about what real white supremacy is. See, the people that went to Liberia, there's a reason why those black people prevailed. You think those are these black people, some of these people today crying about, every little thing? No, these were different kind of black people. They were not playing. They were not on the internet, telling the viewers that send me the money so I can survive in Liberia. You will see their pattern is no different than how when the first Europeans arrived on the shores of their various colonies. Same experience. So what I'm showing here today is you should learn from this to understand that, yes, those blacks did in fact colonize that place. They did colonize the place. You can learn a thing or two from this to know, hey, look at the people who this, because you know how people like to say, oh, I suffered from slavery. No, you did not. These people that I'm about to talk about, these guys, they don't talk about slavery. In fact, they were born in it. They overcame it. They went to a completely different shore. Yes, they did look like the people, but they were not the same people. So you were in the hellhole of white supremacy. And they drop you off in Liberia. They said, this is your home now. If you guys can make it, it becomes your home. And it's thousands of you guys. And then, but the place they took you to, mind you, that land wasn't empty. The land, there were people there. Okay? The white man is like, hey, don't worry. We took care of that. We got the document right here. We pointed a gun at those natives, their chiefs. They signed right here. This is your home now. Didn't have anything to do with them. So now these people came to Liberia. They are free, right? There's no white man over them telling them anything. So now it's either they develop Liberia and be free. But the only way they can develop it, they will have to put those natives in chain. Because look, let me tell you, I'm going to give it to you straight like it was, okay? So the natives who were already there, mind you, didn't see these people as the same. They saw them as black people, but black people that are encroaching on their land. You do realize, yes, African countries, African groups, I don't know of many African groups who are interested in going outside the African continent to colonize another land. But within Africa, same kind of group of people did, in fact, conquer each other's land. That's pretty normal. That's what Shanghai Empire was, conquered Mali Empire, replaced it. Before Mali was Ghana Empire. So this is normal human nature. So now, yes, their skin color is the same, but they don't understand each other. It's not the same culture. These people you see in the picture, yes, their ancestors left as Africans, but they came back as white. What do I mean by white? Not only in the phenotype, but even in the education and the understanding. So nothing wrong in that. People have to admit to what is factual. Because if whatever culture you are socializing for, after a few generations, you become that. Your skin doesn't have to change, but it is a mindset. That is the difference, you see. So you can see the difference here, right? So now you can see these people, for them to rule that place, guess what they had to do? They had to do what the white man did. Exactly. Point the gun at the natives and put them in chains. I'm about to show you that proof. People that like to say, oh, they freed them from slavery, I'm not sure about that. But one thing I do know, they did enslave those people. Here we go. I'm going to play this video. Just kick back, relax, and see what I'm telling you here. This individual did a wonderful job telling us this story.
I could start this story in 1847, when this region in West Africa officially became the nation of Liberia, elevated to be the second black republic in the world after Haiti at the time. Or I could start it more than a century later, when back-to-back civil wars ravaged the nation due to sustained economic and political suppression. Or I could start it today and talk about how 5% of Liberia's population of 5 million people is descended from African American settlers. For me, the story of Liberia started taking shape most directly in 1816 when...
Did you guys hear that? 1816. This is way before slavery was abolished. Okay? This is way before that. So a lot of these people were free. So people think, oh, because, Lincoln came, you guys remember Lincoln, the white man with the beard. He said, oh, I proclaim emancipation for the black people, the slaves. You can't enslave them anymore. Prior to that, there were black people who were free. Okay? They officialized it, but there were a group called Freed Blacks in America. They were free way before this, way before. But they were not, by a long shot, the majority.
The number of free blacks in the United States was on a steady rise. That was when a group of Americans founded the American Colonization Society, ACS, to deal with the problem of the growing number of free blacks in the United States by resettling them in Africa. The biggest question at the time facing the leaders of America was what to do about slavery, whether to continue, whether to abolish it, whether the country could really be a home to free black people and enslaved black people at the same time. This was about 40 years before the United States would abolish slavery. Welcome to Reason Africa. The idea of an African-American colony in Africa was a fascinating question, with an obvious answer to many in the United States, but with a more complicated explanation. A colony for blacks outside the United States had been proposed several times, beginning in the 1700s, but it was the American Colonization Society's formation in 1816 that provided the impetus to make it a reality.
Did you guys hear this? So the American Colonization Society were the ones that came up with this idea to relocate some of the blacks to Africa, because they were worried. White America was worried about freeing having so many former slaves being freed in America. So they want to send them back to Africa, coax them into taking the option of going back to Africa. You see. So this is why they're calling it a colony. Because look at it, even today in the 21st century, look, those of you, even though we speak English whatsoever, okay, this is the closest all of us, black people around the world, have ever been, because now we can talk to each other. But imagine, just as some of these reparts, you've seen their videos where they go to African country, they're even interviewing, talking to somebody. You could tell their thinking is not aligning. So the conversation is off. It's not that one isn't intelligent or not. They don't, because the thinking is different. So you take that same individual to talk to me, it would be similar. But this is the 21st century. Imagine 1816 Africa. 1816 Africa. If you don't know what that looked like, go read about it. Okay? Or go visit some of these villages. You will see 1816 Africa for sure, or even some of these towns in Africa. You'll see it. I don't have to tell you. So there would be a lapse in communication. That's my point. And wherever there is lapse for communication, there has to be a master. Someone has to give the rules, and someone has to enforce it. Someone has to abide by it. What do you think? The person that is giving the rules, the person that appointed themselves boss, what do you think they are going to do when the subjects try to protest against their rules? What do you think will happen? Well, I'm about to show you. They did the same thing just as it was in the slave plantation, or worse. About to show you.
The colonization society attracted a mixed bag of supporters. Slave owners pushed for free black people to be sent away from the United States because, according to them, they undermined the institution of slavery. They could have helped other slaves escape or, even worse, rebel. 5 years after its formation, the ACS launched its first trip to Liberia and founded a settlement and named it Monrovia, after US President James Monroe, which later became the capital of Liberia.
That's right, Monrovia, President Monroe. He white. He's not black. He's a white man. Okay, so the place to begin with, they named it after a white man. So the white man owned part of it. But you'll see what the white man did in a little bit. Because you see some of these people, their future looks different, right? Some of these people are related to white people, because most black people in America, they are related to white people, technically, even by blood. But what they are doing here, they're sending these people away because they don't want them to eventually revolt against them to reduce black population. That was the thinking. It's probably, I don't know if it's still the thinking. I wouldn't be surprised, but that was the reason. That's what my point is.
Oldest modern republic in the region. Over the decades, the number of blacks sailing to Liberia steadily increased. Upwards of 12,000 freeborn and formerly enslaved black Americans out of an approximate 4 million of them emigrated to Africa. The widely expected mass exodus of African Americans to Liberia never materialized in the grand scale it was expected. However,
so these are the founding fathers of Liberia. Okay, so you tell me, do these people look like Liberian to you? Let's just be real. Even in the 21st century. I mean, maybe now, because, mixtures happen over time, but you get the drift. Okay, they are not Liberians. So if you're not from a place, your group came and took over. Last I checked, that's called, colonialism. Hey, folks, am I lying? Maybe, I don't know if I have issues with my English, but isn't that what that means? If they take over, like you no longer have rights on your land, someone else get to make the rules for you, and they conquer your language. That's what happened in Liberia.
the settlers built schools, churches, and roads and formed a government modeled on the United States systems. The only problem was that the area already had inhabitants, and they were not very happy to see newcomers.
Don't worry, those are not Liberians. They are Zulus. I don't know why he had to use the Zulus in this part, but he's just driving the point home to say, just like you see how the Zulus were fighting with those British and the Boers. Okay, guess who were the British and the Boers for the Liberian natives? Yes, you guessed it.
Come in and take their land. The relations of the African American settlers with the natives were strained right from the get-go. The natives saw the black Americans.
No, EYB, he was saying that out of the 4 million, it was at the time 12,000 immigrated. It's not 4 million, definitely not that. It wasn't that many.
As no more than dark-skinned occupiers on.
Did you guys hear that? So, well said. That's how the natives saw these people. They were nothing but, dark-skinned occupiers. You guys are seeing right now. And we hearing the war drums about how they are worried that Russia is going to go into Ukraine, Crimea. And these people, even they speak the same language. They all say Dobre Utra, meaning good morning. I used to work with some Ukrainians and Russians. I would hear them say to each other, Dobre Utra. And I ask what it is. So we all say Dobre Utra. But these people, imagine they are saying the Russians are coming to invade Ukraine. They are seeing it as a foreign like foreign troop coming. You see? So they are all the same skin color. They even spoke the same language. Much more if they did not even speak the same language at all. Okay? Look, I know some people in my tribe who don't know English. Like some of you, if you meet them, you talk to them, you guys are gonna be like, there's no way Afridamus is related to these people. They wouldn't be able to communicate with you. They cannot speak English at all. So imagine me if I couldn't speak English at all. And then I see, some guys show up with their flag, with their FBA ADOS flag, talking about, yo, Sean, with this, we coming to take our reparation. You think I'm going to know what that means? Absolutely not. That's what happened.
On the other hand, the African American settlers regarded the natives as uncivilized. The settlers marginalized the indigenous population and reduced them to the status of servitude. The fact that the freed enslaved who opted to return to Africa, where they hoped to enjoy complete liberty, would oppress other Africans is...
Did you guys hear that? Did you guys hear that? So for people that think that, oh, those people were the same, and even the simple fact to say, no, the natives saw the black people as one of them. Look, let's stop creating fantasies. We all know that's not real. Nobody's picking on anyone here, okay? But if it doesn't make sense, it probably, it means it's not true. That's my whole point, okay? So the difference is, okay, it's not like that today. This country, they are united, but this is how it was formed. The country Liberia, this is how it was formed, by colonizers who just happened to be black. So white man in blackface. And already you see, they classify the people as what? Natives over in this section. It's not like, how else do you think they were supposed to classify them? Put yourself in their shoes. Okay? So this is why I like to speak logic into this. It's not just spitting, talking about, oh, I'm telling you historic time. Common sense. Common sense should tell you what it probably was like. You see? Common sense should tell you this. So you guys see, Gem Slayer is complaining. She's from Liberia. I don't know I think Slayer Gem is probably Americo-Liberian. Slayer Gem, I'm not here to shame you guys at all. Okay? I'm just pointing out what happened. That's all.
One of the ironies of history. By the 1840s, many European countries had established colonies around Liberia and were pressuring the colony, the ACS, and even the United States to clarify Liberia's role and identity. Could Liberia broker treaties and trade agreements? Could it levy taxes? And could England or France annex the area if it was not claimed by any other country? Joseph Jenkins Roberts, a man born free in Virginia, who...
Guys, Joseph Jenkins Roberts. Joseph Jenkins Roberts. People. Look, do you know how many books I have read in colonial times? People that have names that sound like that? And those are white people. So you guys thought only white people colonized, didn't you? You see? Let's see. African American Nationalist Party said, Afridamus is a dark-skinned occupier in the USA. Hey, you know what? You might be right. You might be right. Absolutely. Shoot. I watch Liberia. I watch all the other white colonial people that came to Africa. Shoot, I figured, hey, why don't I play the game too? Okay? So, yeah, But in this day and age, you don't need to put people in chains, maybe in some other regions, but not, I mean, I'm not saying I support it, but I'm just saying some of these things do happen. You do realize this. Not long ago, we saw in Libya where they were auctioning off human beings. You know, they still sell people in different parts of the world. So when people talk about slavery as if it's something that never happened until America came into existence, that's crazy.
Was the colony's first black governor in 1841, declared Liberia's independence in 1847 in efforts to establish a sovereign state, and was elected president the next year. The Declaration of Independence made Liberia the first black-ruled republic in Africa.
Did you guys see what Mr. Jenkins did here? Mr. Jenkins, in fact, he's smart. He's like, look, man, we left America to come to Africa to be free so that white people don't have to rule us, even though he's half-breed himself, right? But you know, even if you're half-breed in America, you're considered black. So now, this is the advantage that the black Americans had over the Africans at the time. Because you see, they are next to the white people. They were part of the meetings. They could hear the bickering that is happening. They could hear what is going on. So the white people were talking about, you know what, we want to, you know, we're speaking about that Liberia thing. Okay. So you don't think the word got out? So now you have the blacks, they moved from America there in Liberia. Do you think they were going to allow white people to rule over them over there too? Over their dead body. So Joseph Jenkins had to make the move. J.J. Roberts, pardon me. He had to make the move. So I'm just showing you how people think. Didn't I warn you in the beginning that these black people were not like the, you know, crying type? They kept their eyes on the prize. And hey, it didn't matter how they won it, but they made sure they won. That's the whole point. They came to Liberia to change it into America. In fact, did you guys know there was a separate country on the tip of Liberia called Maryland? Because these other blacks from Maryland. Because it was a trend back in those days in Liberia. People creating, you know, black American countries in Liberia. Go read upon this. Okay? The people from Maryland, they call their country Maryland. So if people were from Chicago, Southside Chicago, they would say Southside Chicago. So, yeah, so they were building it over there. So you have to also understand the thinking during those times. Put yourself also in these people's shoes. I mean, I'm not going to lie. If I lived back then, I was in Africa, to be honest, I would have been with the black Americans to occupy that land. Because it's occupy the land or be occupied. That's what would have happened. That is, in fact, I'm just saying, what situation would I have been in? Because your countrymen, they don't want to work with these people. So here is people who understand the situation of the world. They're like, look, man, we moved here to be free. Oh, we are going to remain free. We are going to make sure we remain free. So when a man has that determination, what side are you going to be on? Exactly. Think about it. You'll be a fool to go against them.
But simmering tensions between the settlers and the indigenous people continued to grow and fester within the new nation. Many of the immigrants died due to diseases, countless wars with the natives and other causes. Yet, little by little, they established themselves as elites. Due to fears of the impact a free nation could have had on the issue of slavery in the United States, America did not recognize the nation it had played a role in creating until much later. Many people believe it's an oversimplification to say that African Americans colonized Liberia. So let's investigate and share your thoughts in the comment section below. When the first settlers came ashore in the region, they were not welcomed, not really. The immigrants' takeover of land and the injection of US customs and religion into their culture was resented by locals. Some mainstream scholars have argued that, in a sense, Liberia is a mirror image of the United States and its conquest and later settlement by Europeans.
You know, how do you even justify this? Okay, hey, think about this. I show up, for instance, let's say, even though, right, originally I'm from Africa. So, but I go to Africa, some African country, let's think of a country that needs to be colonized right now, right? Let's say Equatorial Guinea. I show up with 12,000 other Black Americans. And, we need to colonize the place, for instance, right? But now, you're going to have haters in front of us, okay? But only this time, the haters, they own the place. But you have to fight these haters, because if you don't, you got to bounce, or the white man rules both of you. So what you gonna do? I'm just asking. What you gonna do? I'm just asking you a common sense thing here. You do realize if these blacks did not fight the natives, they would have been enslaved. You do realize this, right? Like colonized, like the rest of the other African countries. So I'm just trying to paint a picture for you here, for you to see. So save me the pretense to say, oh, the poor natives. When they showed up, the natives came out in their troops, in their battle formation, and went to war with them. Rightfully so, because strangers are coming, trying to change their culture, their way of doing things. You see? So this is why I would later, when I drop the link here, I would want some people to hit this link, even Pan-Africanists, come here and tell the truth. Like some of them said, oh, it was survival of the fittest in the Congo. So I want to hear if they would say the same thing here. I'll be waiting. When I drop that link, do not get shy. You don't get all fiery in the chat. And then when it's time to call, you start getting cold finger. Well, let's go.
The American Colonial Society acquired Cape Mesurado, a 36-kilometer-long strip of land near present-day Monrovia, from the then indigenous ruler, with a threat of force if he declined to sell. The colony was extended along the coast as well as inland by use of force against native tribes. The immigrants created the same exclusionary practices they left behind in the States and, intentional or not, sowed the seeds for future civil conflict. They took a completely new political system that the natives knew nothing about and dominated the political system for almost 150 years.
Isn't that what I said here the last time? Do you guys see how the blacks that went there, how they dressed? The natives didn't dress like that. You guys know this. I don't have to tell you. See, they have, coats on with minks on the shoulders. If you don't know what a mink is, Google that or try to go touch one. Pretty soft on the hand. Okay? That's what they were wearing. So these are not just ordinary people. They became the elite in that society at the time. Okay?
This is linked to a little-known historical fact. A short-lived nation called the Republic of Maryland, which comprised of black immigrants from the U.S. state of Maryland before merging with the Republic of Liberia. Upon formation of modern Liberia,
Maryland was about the size of Gambia. So Maryland would have been the Gambia of the Liberia. Here's how Maryland did not succeed. So the people that came from Maryland, they went, right? They're like, we want to form our own country because they didn't want to kick it with the people from Ohio, okay? So, and the South Carolinian, the people from South Carolina, the Maryland people are like, look, we're going to go form our own country. We don't want to deal with these people, okay? Because, amongst Black people, there's classism too, because they might be like, man, these people are from the country. We don't want to deal with them. So they went off, started their own little country. They call it Maryland. So the guy skipped the part because Maryland went to war with a native, one of the tribes. They went to war. It was a big one too, because Maryland was sitting, the country Maryland was sitting on those native people's land. So, because at the time, Liberia told Maryland that, look, you're not about to survive here on your own. Just come, let's join and form the nation together. They're like, nah, we are here to step the game for ourselves. But Maryland was about to fall. They called for backup from Liberia, the country Liberia, because at the time they were separate. So they helped them in that fight. So after that, Maryland realized they were not strong enough to fight on their own. So they united with Liberia. That's what made it Liberia today. Because they were tired of, because they fought many, many battles. So the people that talk like this is kumbaya, no. The natives were, the natives weren't happy. They were not happy. And you think they didn't act on what made them unhappy? No. So yeah, that's where the war came from. So Maryland never succeeded. So Liberia had to swallow Maryland. They had to kick it with the people from South Carolina, Ohio, and the rest.
Liberians treated the natives as white Americans had treated them, as second-class citizens and not deserving of the vote, very similar to South Africa's apartheid struggle that was dominated by an elite minority group who kept a tight rein on power. It was not a
See, before South Africa, the apartheid that we know, Liberia was the first case, and only in West Africa. That's pretty much what they just told you.
Until the 1940s that the native Africans got the right to vote in national elections. You'd imagine that since the immigrants who were former slaves themselves would know what it feels like to be subjugated and oppressed, instead, they established their own system of oppression and domination. All economic and political power in the country was concentrated. Through the true Whig Party, they controlled the government, the economy, and the state. Another issue at play was slavery. It was widely understood that African natives benefited from slavery by selling some Americo-Liberian ancestors into slavery in the Americas, as they were middlemen in the business. So perhaps this was a contributing factor why Americo-Liberians didn't cut any favors to the natives. In a short amount of time, abuse ensued. Lack of property rights for natives and forced labor without pay was the order of the day, which...
So, there's this belief maybe that, okay, yes, when the Black people came from America, when they arrived, yes, it was true. They did witness the natives at the time. They were engaged in the slave trade. So, so mind you, right? Okay, let me paint a picture for you. These Blacks, majority of them, they know they are from Africa, but they don't know the story of how their ancestors got to America for them to be enslaved. So now they're freed out of slavery from America to come to America, to like Africa, to be free. So it was very close to home for them to see the natives, still practicing the same trade that sent their ancestors, which was in long before, that sent them away. So when people say the American Liberians fought slavery, yes, they fought it and stopped it, but there's a but. They turned the people into their own servants and made them second-class citizens. So pretty much slaves.
Prompted a League of Nations investigation. Their report was damning. They found that certain Liberian officials forced natives to work on projects and even sent them out to labor on plantations abroad. Intimidation, humiliation, and compulsion were.
Did you guys see? So they stopped the chiefs just for them to monopolize it, because they put the natives in plantations just like they were in plantations, and they even shipped some of them to foreign lands, to go work in farms, because Liberia made money like that as well. So the people that came from the slavery, they were outraged by what they saw, but then they repeated the same thing when they became the boss.
Common methods used. Unfortunately, although the United States stood in an essentially similar relationship to Liberia as Britain did to Sierra Leone, and more distantly as France does to its former colonies in West Africa.
Did you guys see the comparison they are making here? Okay, the role that the United States played. See, Britain here colonized Sierra Leone, Liberia. So when you do a colony, you can either do it administratively or settle a colony. Like South Africa became a settler colony. The white people wanted to live there. In fact, at one point, Kenya used to be a settler colony. If you don't know this, ask people. There used to be lots of white people that lived in Kenya. So when you hear about the Mau Mau War, that was between the Mau Mau, the Kenyans, against the white people, because they wanted them to leave Kenya. So some of these places are settler colony. So since the blacks from America, black Americans, they turned Liberia for them as the settler colony for the United States. So that's why they mimic them so much. So colonizing happens, in different ways. You can do indirect rule or direct rule, as you know.
Africa, it consequently avoided the duties implicit in that relationship. In spite of American enormous influence there, the United States never seriously urged reform against the oppression of natives by the elite of Liberia's ruling class.
Did you guys see this? That's the elite class, Liberian, with the one star, but same American flag.
Tensions finally boiled over in 1980 when indigenous Africans carried out a coup which marked an end to the settlers' dominance as well as the beginning of 16 years of political instability. From there, we all know how the story went. Charles Taylor was found guilty by the ICC and is currently serving time for war crimes. With increasing intermarriages in recent decades and warming of relations between Americo-Liberians and indigenous Liberians, the Republic of Liberia is today a stable democracy and is continuing its journey of development as a strong member of the community of nations. America's influence remains strong in the country. The Liberian flag closely resembles the stars and the stripes of the US flag. Some architecture in the country resembles 19th century houses. English is the official language, and the US dollar is generally accepted as currency. I hope you enjoy.
Sounds like a colony to me, okay? Sounds like a colony. What do you think, people? I hope this video and my analysis have completely cleared it, okay? Because some people, I believe, are still confused about it, but AC Blog said, what's the population of the Americas? Good question. I think Liberia's entire population is I want to say 5-6 million. So I'll have to look that up. That's a good question, actually. Because I'm not looking at the very current one, but I should check that out. I mean, we have Gem Jewel here. She can answer that. She's from Liberia. AC Block said, let's see. See, exactly. Proud Eritrean, that's what they call a colony. So no need to be in denial. How we are called back again. BB Rodriguez said, Sierra Leone is facing severe fishing crisis. All you continental diasporans need to help them, especially regional neighbors. They are on the verge of starvation. What? What happened? All the fish died or what? Like what's going on there? I mean, I don't know what you want us to do, but Sierra Leone, last I know, when I used to live there, they have great rainfall. The land is fertile. Um, I mean, things grow just fine. I don't know what happened these days. Oh, Be Lovely said 5%. Oh, so it's still 5% because from the time they moved there, they were 5% of the population. So yeah, Bibi Rodriguez, if you can elaborate on that, let's see. She said China is overfishing and illegally going into seas not authorized. West Africans, help your neighbors. Well, I'm I I've heard people talk about this, even in Gambia, they say, oh, they are overfishing. I don't believe in that. How are they gonna overfish? All they have to do is stop them from fishing around the hatching grounds, hatching area. But the natural symbiosis of the ecosystem, even in the aquatic world over there, the fishing is good because it helps balance the population. But now, if they are catching young fish, and destroying their hatching ground, now that can affect the population of the fish over there. But other than that, I don't know what's happening. Maybe they should try to clean the ocean a bit, clean the water. Maybe that can help the fish be more fertile. Because some of these areas, man, you see what the water looks like. Naturally, you would think it would be beautiful. But with human interaction, less care, the place looks terrible. I can't really put all this on the Chinese. You see, I like entertaining how sometimes people like to bring the Chinese out of the hat, as if the Chinese brought the problems in Africa. It just, you guys must not know Africa like I do. Seriously. Incompetence is celebrated. Why do you think the black Americans went there, 12,000, and colonized the place? I mean, even though the white people helped them put a gun on the chiefs, I mean, they did do that. I don't know if they would have won without that. But either way, you see, to win a battle is not always just to physically dominate, break somebody. It takes a whole lot of things. So people that think that to control a country, imagine, change their education system and put strong roots there. I mean, to be honest, that's something. It makes me think, can people that challenge black Americans and say you didn't build anything? But what about Liberia though? Shouldn't that credit go to them? I mean, the British take credit for their colonies. So if we agree that Liberia is a good place now, who should the credit go to? Because you see, when I was in school in Africa, right, people like to say they didn't teach colonialism in school. All lies. I don't know what school those people went to, but the schools I went to, they did teach this. And we learned, the advantages and the disadvantages of colonialism. You know, for people who don't think straight, some of the teaching system, I can see how they can be easily brainwashed, because you see, they are teaching Africans, kids, who discovered Lake Victoria, who discovered Niger. Okay, what year did Alvisto Cadamosco came over? See, but when we got to the Liberian part, I remember learning about that too. I remember learning the Black Americans even back then. They said when they came, I remember this, 1824. That wasn't the official date, but maybe as the numbers grow, so from 1816 by 1824, they had a lot of control. Yeah, they did fight battles to be able to control the place. But now, in fact, even during those times, they were accused of abuse. But do you think the other colonizers weren't accused of the same thing? You guys remember I told you about Leopold. They did not do what Leopold did now. Okay? They didn't do what some people might think America did, wipe out most of the natives. No, that didn't happen. They, in Liberia, you heard they intermarried. It seems like everything is good. Here in America, some of the natives married with white. They good. Okay? But make no mistake, that doesn't mean that it's not a colony. That doesn't mean that. It has fit all the criterias of what makes it that. And I hope show here, this show here would help you, especially Gem Jewel. Gem Jewel, she's from Liberia. She does not like it when I point out the truth that Liberia was colonized. Ethiopia Ethiopia wasn't colonized, it was occupied. I know one time I said they were colonized, but they were just occupied. Okay? Um, they didn't change their language, because I remember saying when, okay, even the colonizing stopped, but they did not change their language or their civilization. In Liberia, English is the number one language, is their official language. Nicholas Rodriguez said, Liberia is a really embarrassing country. The Black Americans destroyed that nation. Nicholas, hit that link, come on through and tell us, what do you mean by that? I mean, shoot, look at Nigeria. The British created that. Look at what a mess they left over there in Africa for us. So I can kind of understand maybe if you're coming from that part. But the difference is the British left. So the American Liberians, they stayed there. So it will be hard to accuse them of wanting the country to burn. You see? Let me see some of these comments here. Today I'm not gonna stay here too long. I did a show earlier on my Facebook, um, but it's in our language for my Gambian audience. So if you want to hear me, use my Mandinka linguistic skills, head on to my Facebook and listen to that. Let's see here. Proud Eritrean said, the first Nigerian president was a white man. Is that true? No, so proud Eritrean, this is how it worked. I have heard people say that, but so back in West Africa, they have the West African colonies. So they have governors. So the governors were the ones serving as the representative for the quote unquote British Empire. So yes, at one point the governor um, of Nigeria was, yes, was a white man. Let's see, Audrey. Look at Audrey crying again. Not as messy as Gambia. Audrey, really, Audrey, why do you always? You see, here we go. Here we go. She said, $2 sex on the beach. I told you, Audrey, those women are not Gambian. I have told you this. But let me bring in Francisco here. Francisco Mendez, thank you for calling in. Where you calling from?
Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Where you calling from?
Hello,
Oh,
I'm
this
calling
is
from.
Nicholas?
Yeah, this is Nicholas. I'm calling from England.
All right, Nick. Thank you for joining me. So you said Black Americans destroy Liberia. How so?
Well, of course, Liberia was founded as a Back to Africa movement for freed slaves in the United States. It was created as a, it was created as a place where Black Americans could, return to Africa and have their own independent country. It was under the title called the American Colonization Society, where
Right. I played
basic,
the video here. Did you miss that
yeah,
part?
yeah, I missed it. Sorry, but
Yeah. We already covered that. Like, yeah. So the American um, Colonization Society set it up, of course. So, um, so they got the place, became a colony, because the intention it's not even the Back to Africa movement. They wanted to get rid of Black people in America so the number would go down, because they
yeah.
didn't want many Black people to be free here in America with the white people, right?
Well, that's partly true. What they actually wanted to do is that they wanted to free all the black slaves in the United States and return them to Africa, because
Right.
the white American government and the elites were segregationists, weren't they? Obviously there was a lot of racism and prejudice towards them. So they thought,
So
instead
how
of,
did you say they destroyed Liberia when,
well,
like in I mean, like, I want to hear your perspective on this, to be honest.
Liberia is disappointing and depressing history, or a country to read about. The African Americans, when they returned to Africa, to Liberia, instead of creating unity with the African tribes, with the native Liberians, instead they oppressed them, didn't they? They had a superiority complex over them, and
But they were not the same groups of people. The natives were
yeah,
were in their way for progress.
maybe, but I don't know about that. The native Liberians were harsh tribes, were they? They weren't really advanced compared to the
Right.
African Americans.
So yeah, so now, the African Americans, Black America, these people were not, they were not gonna go and be a, be a part of the tribe,
Yeah.
because that would be, to be honest, it's no insult, but they were more advanced than that tribe,
Yes.
right? That would be the
Yeah,
truth.
but the problem wasn't, the fact that they were more advanced. It's the fact that they had a superiority complex over them. Instead of teaching
Yes,
them
they
and
did.
educating them, guiding them,
Well,
instead of teaching them and
they
educating
did over time. They did over, because they brought the education there.
yeah, but they were obviously a big division between the American Liberians, as they were called, and the native Liberians, and so that
Yes, there's a
division
slave.
was.
Yeah, master and servant role.
Yeah, and what makes it even more depressing, if you read about the history, are you aware who Marcus Garvey is? That great Pan
Yeah,
Africanist.
yeah. Oh yeah, I'm a student of Marcus Garvey.
Yeah,
Garvey.
yeah. Marcus Garvey, when he learned of Liberia,
Hold
because
on 1 second.
when Marcus Garvey was
Davy. Oh, no, 1 second. Davy about Dornado. The link is in the chat. If you want to join, you can hit it. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying Marcus Garvey, when he was alive, he was obviously a black nationalist, Pan Africanist, and when he learned, because bear in mind, when Marcus Garvey was alive, Africa, 90% of Africa had been colonized by the Europeans. So when he learned about Liberia, a country that wasn't colonized and it was created by freed slaves, he was excited. He was like, "This is amazing. This is a chance for me to get black people to return to Africa."
But
As he supported the back to Africa movement. But the native
this is way before
but
this is before Marcus Garvey, though. You know that the
say that again.
movement happened. Liberia happened before Marcus Garvey.
Yeah, I know it happened before Marcus Garvey, but when Marcus Garvey was alive and he was aware of it, he contacted the Americo-Liberians and he wanted to create some sort of link between the Liberia and the African
okay.
diaspora.
You're right. You know what? You're right. I know. When but okay. I'll let you go. I'll let you keep going, because I want to hear what you understand happened. Go ahead.
Okay, let me just finish off. But the Americo-Liberians, when they were in contact with Marcus Garvey, they rejected him. They said, "No, Marcus, we don't care about your Pan-Africanism or your black nationalism. We got our own thing going on here, and we're happy with where we are." And
You're right.
that's one of the
You read it. You know what? You read it.
Yeah,
You read it well. You read it well.
Yeah, I read it. It's just a disappointing story. Liberia could have been the America of Africa. Instead it's it's a poor, corrupt, underdeveloped country.
It was, but it was for the people that came from America. Because you see, you cannot create America in Africa if you are not if you are not American, you've never lived in America. That would be pretty hard. You will have to be an American first to have that mindset.
Yeah,
To do that.
yeah, but I understand that it's just a tragic story, man. Like reading about it and what's become of Liberia. I watched the
But
documentary.
what about the British? What the British colonized bunch of places, including Nigeria? The biggest country in our backyard over there. Like the British,
Yeah.
they did it too.
The British colonized lots of parts of Africa, and
Yeah, and India,
but
other parts, and now the black people colonize one little country in Africa. People want to complain. Let me bring in Davi too. But Francisco, thank you for coming in. Do you have any last words you want to add on to this? Or you know what? Stick around for a second. Let me bring in Davi. Davi, welcome to the show. Where are you calling from? Davi, unmute yourself. Davi, can you hear me? I don't know what happened to Davi. Davi, if you can hear me, go ahead and unmute yourself. Okay, so
Hello,
Francis.
I am
okay,
from
there.
California.
You're calling from where?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Hello?
Were you?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Where are you
I
calling
can hear
from?
you. Hold on.
Are you even ready?
can you hear
Okay,
him?
so
I can
go ahead and speak, Davi. We can hear
Hello?
you. Yes.
California.
California. Okay. Tell us. So what do you think about this
Can you hear
topic? Do
me?
you think? Okay.
Okay,
So,
California.
all right. So if you can't hear me, let me know because I'll drop you off here in a sec.
From California.
Okay. What's on
Yes,
your mind?
California.
What's on your mind? Okay. I don't know what's up with Davi. You might want to go
Poor
fix
Wi-Fi.
your audio. Huh?
I think he had poor
Well,
Wi-Fi connection.
yeah. Who knows? I don't know if he's on the Obama Wi-Fi, but Davi, call back when you find a Sprint connection somewhere. Who knows, right? I mean, I don't know. I mean, because Yeah, I get it. There's delay, but the delay is so like this is too huge. So Francisco,
Yeah.
You haven't convinced me yet about the American Liberians destroying Liberia when they created it.
But they created Liberia, but instead of teaching the native Liberians, instead of educating them properly, they oppressed them, didn't they? They enslaved them.
Well,
The native
not
Liberians
all of
even
them,
called them the white men of the land. They even
not
called them
all
the
of
white men
them.
of the land.
Yeah, not all of
Not
them,
all
just
of
the
them.
ones that challenged them.
Yeah, but that was the issue. They didn't come with a Pan Africanist mindset. They came
Well,
with a colonizer mindset.
but you see, Francisco, you are adding your own thoughts onto them because these people have the right to do with what they deem fit with that land. They conquered it. They don't have to be Pan-Africanists because first of all, think about it. These people were smart, right? They're
Yeah,
probably thinking, look, Gavi, look, this guy is trying to talk his way into our country to bring some new blacks over here with some trouble. We are not.
yeah,
We are too good over here. I mean, could you see that being a thing?
yeah. I see that point of view. I
Yeah.
can definitely see that point of view.
And can you blame them?
I can't blame them for that, but at the same time, Liberia was created as a back to Africa
Right.
movement for freed slaves. So I
No,
would
but
have thought they would have supported.
to reduce black people's number. Davi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. So you're calling from California, Davi?
Yes.
All
Yes,
right,
I'm calling
Davi.
from California.
So
Yes, Davi.
what's on your mind on this topic, Davi?
I mean, I just wanted to add to basically the conversation for the American Liberian people who were coming there. It also consisted of, Afro Caribbeans and some people from like neighboring free colonized African places. So you had a lot of different tribal people coming into a new space.
Right.
Um, so not everybody had, and
I
I'm
cut
not
out.
knocking the gentleman here. He's right to a certain extent that there should have been more unity, but everyone looked, had to were just sort of forced together.
But what are they? What would they have united on?
Well, you're right. They didn't have much to unite on except for, they were all released into a certain place, and they all.
No, but the black people that went there, you can't say they were released. This was smart people, mind you. This uh they were not just, if you go and read about their background, right?
Uh-huh.
These were black people who were, most of them, they were free in America. They were free.
Yeah,
But
Right.
because the law was so much against them,
Mhm.
they were
yeah.
the ones that wanted to leave. So
The- for
so Liberia was just an opportunity that they stepped on.
But for me, I'm sorry, I have something pulled up. It was saying like that many of the African Americans opposed actually going to Liberia. They did not want to go because they
Right,
felt like they did not have a connection. And the white abolitionists and the American Colonization Society, they were adamant in forcing these people to go. So I think many of their attitudes were, I did not want to really be here, but since I am here, I have to take advantage of my
right.
situation.
Oh,
Um,
let me see. Francisco,
uh,
I think
Yeah,
somebody question. So they want to know if you're white. I think they're going
yeah.
by
I'm
your
white.
picture.
My family's from originally Portugal,
Oh,
but I
okay.
live
So
in England.
you're Portuguese.
Yeah, but I was born and raised in England.
Man, did you know the Portuguese saw more Africans than anybody? Like they kicked off the slave trade.
Yeah,
Oh, so Francisco, your people did the same thing in Guinea-Bissau, Angola. They even did worse than the Black American. What are you talking about?
yeah. We part
Like
of that was
Brazil, you guys, enslave entire nation of Brazil.
yeah. But that's different with us though, because we we're Europeans. We colonized different lands. Like it wasn't like Black people, like with Liberia, it was black people colonizing black people.
Well, so then would you agree then that they are black, white man in blackface? Because if you like, so if conquering other lands, European in blackface.
Yeah, Negropeans.
Okay, so you know, like in some of the African countries, they have their like mulatto mixtures, most of them from Portuguese parents from many during those times. You're aware of that class?
Yeah, the mulattoes,
greetings.
Can I say maybe? I want to say that Europeans also colonized other Europeans.
Yes.
Well, it's not different.
Right. No, this is a
true.
European thing, but like if he said, so when he said it's different with us, I wanted to hear his logic. So when
I want to ask him, greetings, Afridamus. I want to ask this Portuguese guy a question, if that's okay.
Hold on. You will. So when he said it's different, I wanted to hear the logic. So it matches my description, which is, so these blacks that went there, they didn't have like the African mindset. They have American mindset, which is European. So he's right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dr. R. Dr. R, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Thank you for coming in, Dr. R. Dr. R, what's on your mind?
I just want to say that this is my thoughts on Liberia, that the American Liberians, as the brother D said, that they were forced. I don't know if they were forced or if they wanted to go to Liberia. But from what I know
the
from
black people?
Yes, the ones.
No, they were not forced.
No, if they wanted to go or not.
No, yes, these people were like, they wanted to go. The people that wanted to go went. The ones that didn't want to go stayed. So eventually, when they built up Liberia after a few years, then Marcus Garvey came and tried to bring shenanigans to them with their Pan-Africanists, and the Liberians are like, look, keep that stuff
All I'm
away
going to
from
say
us.
about the American Liberians, all I'm going to say that they oppressed the natives and they were
So
the
it's a
elite of the
colony.
country.
So are they colonizers?
I look at them from what I've read, that the Black Americans, the elite of that country, they oppressed the natives,
Right.
and they treated the people very badly, and they had no interest in mixing with the people. They just wanted to keep to themselves. They wanted separation, and they ruled the country till I think the 1980s.
Yeah,
that's when the coup happened.
Yeah,
around that period.
Yes.
And I think that's when during that period, the American Liberia rule ended. During that time,
right. So you would agree that it's a colony?
Well, that's a good one. You
were gonna ask Francisco something.
No, I just wanted to. You was asking him about European slavery.
Oh yeah, no, Francisco.
As you were saying that the Portuguese were the biggest slavers, I just wanted to ask him, since he's from England, about his ancestors getting involved in the Ethiopian and Adal Empire War.
Hold on, so somebody's echoing. Dr. R, do you have? Okay. Francisco, I think you have YouTube open. You might want to close it. The echo is coming from Francisco.
Hello.
Francisco, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, you're good now. Did you hear what Dr. R said?
Can you repeat it?
Dr. R.
No, I just want to know, since I've never met Portuguese before, but I just want to say that why did your ancestors?
He's English like you.
Yeah, I know he's from the UK. I just want to ask him, why did his ancestors get involved in the Ethiopian and Adal Empire, while my ancestors defeated the Portuguese twice in the Middle Ages? I just want to know, why were the Portuguese the biggest slavers in Africa and getting involved in conflicts, and plundering other countries as far as India, because the Portuguese were filthy people at that time in history.
Well, I can't hear you. Can you say that again? You're cutting out.
No, I'm asking you, why did your ancestors get involved in the
Dr. R,
wars between...
you think he's gonna know that? Francisco, he wanted to know why were the Portuguese involved in colonizing and enslaving
Involved
places
in what?
and conquering the world, I guess. Right, Dr.
Well,
R?
it was
No,
during the age
I'm
of
saying is,
exploration.
well, I'm asking specifically, why did they get involved in conflict that they should have not interloped in, should have not got involved in?
But when you say they shouldn't, like what conflict you're talking about?
I'm talking about the Ethiopian and Somali war going back to the Middle Ages, 500, 600
Well,
years.
they were there, they wanted to conquer it. That's what they used to do. That they were into that.
Because you said Liberia you said that Liberia was not colonized.
No,
It was
it's
independent.
colonized. I'm saying it's colonized. So
It was
so
colonized, but Ethiopia at that time was a colonial power.
colonial, who did Ethiopia colonize?
No, how can I describe? They were colonizing different tribes at that time, and they were
Okay.
going to war with different Muslim kingdoms.
Oh, okay. Well, then then you cannot blame the
Portuguese. They were
Portuguese.
fighting
You
wars
can
in
blame the
Africa.
Portuguese.
Yeah, because they wanted to spread Christianity and Catholicism.
Yeah.
You know, it was during the age of exploration, colonialism. You know, the
Right.
Spaniards had colonized the Americas, so you know the Portuguese began the slave trade so they could extract goods like sugar and tobacco and gold from the Americas. But they learned the slave trade originally from the Arabs, who had brought
Yes.
black African slaves to Spain and Portugal. So really, if you want to blaming the Portuguese for the slave trade, it really began with the Arabs.
I'm not blaming the
Africans
Portuguese, but I'm not blaming the Portuguese for the slave trade. I'm just saying the Portuguese should have not got involved in conflict that they should have not got involved in.
But
in
Dr.
history.
R, how do you know they were not supposed to? That's what they did. They used to go and conquer places, explore, spreading the word of Jesus. That's what they did back then.
That was just how it was. That's like asking why.
That's
did the
like
Arabs
survival of the
conquer
fittest. It's like they just happen to know how to navigate the sea.
Yeah, exactly. That's like asking why did the Arabs conquer the Middle East and North Africa? Why did the Bantus expand into Central Africa? It just how it was. It was conquest, age of exploration. People just they conquered Brazil and it just kept on going and going, and then the slave trade began, and then the other European powers were involved. Things just got worse over time. And we also have to remember Africans were also allied with the Portuguese. So you can't just say the Portuguese were just raping everybody and the Europeans were just conquering everybody. Africans were allied with Europeans for a long time. So it was a mutual exchange for a really long time.
This is true. I know many would not want to hear it, but this is true. Because even the Somalis work with the Portuguese. Even the Somalis,
history is not black and white. It's very gray.
Yeah, there was some Somalis that some of the other Somalis saw them as traders for working with the Portuguese. They were taking the Portuguese goods and all that. Yeah, but but I don't want us to get too distracted. Let's keep it on Liberia. Let's see. Okay, so Davi, are you still here?
I'm still here.
Davi, okay. What do you want to say, guys? In fact, guys, I don't want to stay here too long, but do you guys have any last statements? Davi, you go first.
I was just going to say that basically, like the Portuguese guy said, that history is not black and white.
Right.
So it's a lot of things that were conflicted in Liberia during the time with the natives and the American Liberians coming in.
Yeah, let's see. Our movement. Afridamus, I think you should do a show on the sub-Saharan slave trade. You know what? I will, because that would help understand, and also it would show you how the Portuguese found out about the slavery. They didn't start it. The Arabs did. So Francisco is right.
Afridamus, didn't the Arabs didn't slavery in Africa existed way before the Arabs?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Yes, it did exist. You
And,
know,
and the
Africans were already yes, it did exist.
The Arabs were the first to enslave Black Africans on a massive scale,
Yes,
hundreds of years
they're the
before
first ones to
Europeans.
take Africans outside of Africa as slaves. The Arabs did
Yeah,
that.
I think it began in the 7th century, whereas the the Atlantic slave trade began in the 1400s. So there was like a 900-year head start.
Yeah, yeah, 14 late 1400s. You're right. So,
Yes, but
Francisco, what's your last word on Liberia? Go ahead, Francisco. Last word on Liberia.
um, well, my last word in Liberia. Well, I just finished watching a documentary before I saw this video about the cannibal warlord of Liberia. Yeah, it was a very
Oh,
very scary. Have you seen it?
General, but yeah, I've seen it.
It I couldn't believe that was real life. Like I was in shock watching it. Like human sacrifices, cannibal warlords, child soldiers. Yeah,
All
Liberia
stem
is not.
from that.
Yeah, so Liberia is not in a very good state, but well, hopefully maybe in a couple of decades it'll be able to develop. But right now, there's not much to say about it. It's a very underdeveloped country.
So the Black Americans did a bad job.
Yeah, they fucked up really badly. I mean, I think Liberia would have been better off if the native Liberians had just left it themselves. What do you think?
Something to think about. I mean, that's a tough one. I mean,
I think it's a tough one.
that's a tough one.
What do you think? If you think the native tribes would have created an advanced country by now if the American Liberians had never arrived?
There's no proof that they would have.
I agree.
Yeah, there's no proof. So as much as the history sounds crazy, grim, the Black Americans were more positive addition than negative.
Well, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming. Dr. R, last word.
I've got nothing to say, but it was a great show.
Thank you, Dr. R. We have Harlem Street Tales. Welcome to the show, Harlem. Where you calling
Hey,
from?
how you doing? Afrodamus.
Afridamus. Where you calling from?
Harlem, New York City.
Harlem, New York. Welcome to the stage here. What's on your mind on whether Liberia, being the first only Black colony in West Africa? What do you think about that? And how the history went.
I think, with the foundational Black Americans making themselves superior over them, I think that was wrong.
But
I also feel like
what did you but what do you think they should have done?
I don't know. It was a weird situation because you got to understand that the natives played the part in them going into slavery in the first place.
I explained that. So that's what I'm saying. So imagine, right? They showed up there, and this same trade, few centuries, 2 centuries before, was what sent their ancestors to these plantations, and they came and saw that again. Yes, they did stop it, but they became the new masters, though.
Yeah, I know that the when they were controlling Liberia, I think it was like this. It had like this the seventh greatest economy in the world. I think it was tied with Japan. At that time. So they, like you said, it was definitely a positive addition.
Yeah.
I just think that what leaves a bitter taste in a lot of people's mouth was the whole them being superior over the natives thing. I think if they could have found a way to where everybody would have been considered equal, I think things could have really worked out over there in Liberia.
But
But
what do you think? Like from just it. Why do you think they felt that way? Because to be honest, they were much more advanced than the natives, right?
yeah.
So it will not make sense for them to want to regress to that civilization. They would have to, try to get them into their civilization, because that's what happened when a dominant civilization comes. It consumes the one that is not a lot. Like, okay, the natives were not looking to spread their ideology, their thinking. So the blacks that came figured, hey, to make this nation, this place a nation, we would have to convert these people. So many of the natives were not with the program. So being in charge, what do people in charge do?
Well, they was running everything, and
Right.
they, you couldn't. They had different. Pretty much, they was doing what was being done to them in America. They was doing to the natives.
And they got roads to build. They got houses to build. They ain't got time to be sitting around babying people, you know? I mean, I know it's gonna sound hard, but that's what things used to be like. I mean, if you read some of these histories in East Africa, man, how some of some of these these colonialists run those territories, it would blow your mind.
Mm.
Let's see. Proud Eritrean said, Afrikaners, don't you think the natives should have protested peacefully like the black Americans did without tearing down the country? Wow, proud Eritrean, that's a good one. He said, don't you think the natives should have protested peacefully like the
Well,
black Americans?
do you think that
This is
the foundational Black Americans that went there and was controlling the state, do you think that they were doing a better job than, let's say, if natives was controlling the state? Because we look at the governments, a lot of the governments over in Africa now, and can we say that those governments, those independent governments that are ran by the natives of those states, are they any better?
well, good question. At one point, like truly, Liberia's economy was flourishing. Let's say, let's not make that throw that shot at them. They did run it, higher at a higher standard than the other countries, which that's true. They needed a lot more work, but yes, their economy at one point was on point. It eventually declined because um, a lot
Civil
more.
War.
Well, even prior to that, the disgruntled people, because there's people that held the sentiment that they are being oppressed. So um, definitely that was an issue. But overall, you're right. We cannot say if it was because the Liberians themselves. Samuel Doe is a native Liberian. When he came in charge, he ran the place to the ground.
Right.
Yeah,
Some giving up all the resources for very cheap, to the Europeans pretty much for nothing.
no, no.
He,
Samuel Doe was making promises and not following up. He was like a hoodoo to the white people. He takes America's money and don't deliver.
mm,
Those are the type of stuff he was doing. So that's why they stood by and let him be taken out.
right.
Oh, Harlem Street, thank you for coming. Do you have any
All
last
right.
words before you leave?
Yeah, well, my last words is that Liberia is a great example. I just wish things could have been done a bit better, but it is a good example on, what could happen if foundational Black Americans was given some land over there in Africa,
Well, they had Liberia.
Right. That's why I
So
said it. That's a great example of that. But great show, man. Thanks for letting me speak. I'm gonna go down and finish watching the show. Thank you.
hey, thanks for coming by. You're welcome anytime. Olumi, welcome to the show. So Olumi,
Yes.
were you listening to what I was saying about
N-
everything that fits a colonies? Did you hear it?
No, no, I just came online
Uh-huh.
and so no, I was not listening, but I know the
Okay,
story
so
of
okay,
Liberia.
so but what's on your mind?
Yeah, yeah, about Liberia, right?
Right. About
I
black
I
black, being colonized by a white man in blackface.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Oh my God. That was something that I almost always think about when I hear like people flooding into Africa again.
Oh,
Listen,
so you think, okay, I want to hear this. So go ahead. I want to hear this. I'll ask you questions.
yes, yes, yes. So here is the problem, right? Uh, I actually had this discussion today with somebody in a chat of this Liberia thingy, and
Oh, you already
they
talked about this today?
exactly. He literally left me now a message. Anyway, somebody was saying, well, the black came and these people were actually selling people to the white Europeans, and the
Oh, you
black
mean
people,
the Liberia,
the native. Somebody
yes,
said that the native was selling people, and when the black American came, they got stopped to it, right? And I asked him though, and I was like, okay, so you stop that, but then you start enslaving them,
yes,
like
that's what happened. So did you see are you seeing the pictures behind me, the founding fathers of Liberia?
yeah, I see that, but they look, so many of them look white to me,
Yeah, are
but they
these,
were black.
because I look very Liberian. This man over here behind me is my grandfather. Would you believe it? You know,
N-
the,
n- n-
this
no,
one, the one I have my cursor on right here. Would you?
really, most of them look white to me,
Oh,
to be
okay. So
honest.
okay, so you didn't fall for it. So they don't look like me. Okay,
No, they don't.
okay.
No, no, they don't. Most of them, anyways. Those three behind you, right behind you, they don't look like.
Oh no, yes,
Like,
I know. I mean, I was just
mhm,
checking to
mhm,
see
mhm,
if you.
mhm.
So these are the founding fathers. So
So,
so so you were saying, as far as people
yes,
now going to Africa, I
the
want to hear the
justifying.
connection. Go ahead.
No, the justification of these people being treated like that is, well, they were so evil, the natives. They were selling people out. So we had to get, and then I asked, then you just turn around and enslaving them? Like, that doesn't make any sense, right? So it's disgusting, this justification for them to be enslaved and
No,
treated
it
like
was a
second class
colony.
citizens.
Yes.
It was a colony, and I was watching that these people were literally enslaved. They were like forced to work
Yeah.
and
Here, let me show you.
segregated
It's here. Let
and
me show you. Let me show you.
yeah,
Humiliation and
God.
compulsion were common methods used. Unfortunately, although the United States stood in an essentially similar relationship to Liberia as Britain did to Sierra Leone, and more distantly as France does to its former colonies in West Africa,
So you see, they use the word colonies.
it
Yes, yes.
consequently avoided the duties implicit in that relationship. In spite of American enormous influence there, the United States never seriously urged reform against the oppression of natives by the elite of Liberia's.
Yeah. So that's what you were
Exactly.
talking about.
That's the video that I watched too, right?
Yeah.
That is exactly the video I was talking about. So yeah, they start colony and they like start seriously enslaving these people. Afrodamus,
But but but
this
but but let's say, what if somebody said this was just a long time ago? Okay, like for example, uh,
no.
Tenahi said most blacks are going to Africa to take. They are not going there to take over for spirit. It's mostly for spiritual healing. What do like? Because I've heard people say that too. So, uh,
Well, I have also seen people going to Africa and slandering African people.
right.
There was one lady called Aunt Cartier, whatever her name
Oh,
was, that
Adkati.
crazy lady
Oh yeah, Adkati
in
was in
Gambia.
Gambia.
Oh, she
Mister
was a
Mister
colonizer.
Trees, Mister
She,
Trees. Hold on, Mister Trees. Hit that link, Mister Trees. I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear what you're disappointed by.
yeah,
Um,
she
yeah,
was
hit,
she
hit
was
the
a
link. Go ahead,
colonizer.
Olimi. Go ahead.
She was talking like a freaking colonizer. I swear to God, that lady pissed me off
Yeah,
so much.
Adkati was a wild one. I
She
saw her
was a
video.
wild one.
Yeah,
And I've seen this African American. Listen, I think this could happen very easily. It could
really?
really
Even
happen
in
in
modern
to,
times.
in modern times. It could
Really,
really
but
happen
but
in
you do
modern times.
realize the colony, for it to happen, it was the white man that put that brought their army and pointed the gun at the native chiefs.
Yes, I
All right,
know.
we are like tell me, how do can you picture, like what country do you think can you know picture Black Americans coming and taking?
I think smaller country definitely, such as Liberia, Sierra
I
Leone,
mean, I
smaller
mean, I
country.
mean, Gambia is
Like
small, so
you
what are you
be
trying?
careful. Yeah. Gambia. I mean, if they just like flood in, and look, if the people think they're superior to you, now we have a problem, right?
But back then they didn't have communication, but now they can communicate with the people. So that shouldn't be a problem, right?
Do you think? You
Yeah,
think
I mean,
so?
because maybe in Liberia, maybe there was a
I'm
break
not.
in
Mm,
connection, but now they share a lot in common with other Africans in modern times.
you think so?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, well,
you don't.
that is. Listen, this is if I feel superior to you, if I know better than you, and I feel you are inferior to me as a native, this can turn out ugly very quickly, right? So, and I think it could happen. It could really
Well,
happen if there's
well,
like those mindset come in.
Black Americans love America now. It
Yeah,
wasn't like
well,
back then.
I think back then they loved that more. They love more Africa than that's
Than
why they came
America,
back.
right?
Yes, and then what happened that they turned them to slaves to the native people, and they felt them they were superior to them apparently.
Oh wow. So only me. Somebody's supporting what you're saying here. That's what she's. I don't know if it's a he or she, but what's that? I met a lot of people returning to Africa that says Africans are stupid.
I mean, what do you mean? I see it every day on the internet.
Yes, I
Every
see it.
single day, they
So do
they
you?
talk about how primitive, how ugly,
So you
how
think they would colonize? Okay, so that's colonial
that is
mindset.
there's a
Okay.
mindset exactly. If I feel you are
Huh.
inferior to me, that
Yeah.
alone, it is a
So
mindset.
you
So of
justify
course,
why you should take over.
I don't have to even look further than YouTube. You can just Google it on YouTube. You will see many of them talking down on Africans. This is nothing hidden. And
Yeah.
with that mindset, you come to Africa. How easy is that then to colonize these people if you get the chance to?
Well, well, I mean, maybe. Yeah, that's
I'm
why.
just
But
saying that can
let's hear
happen.
what we have a new person in the house. Jabari, welcome to the show. Where you calling from?
I'm calling from North Carolina.
Oh, thank you for calling, Jabari. So, Jabari, what do you think about the Liberian colony? Liberia, because I'm asking, Liberia was colonized by black men in, white men in blackface. What's on your mind on this subject here?
Well, that frame of reference is in
Wait,
and of
are
itself.
you're Pan Africanist? Are you?
Yes, yes,
All
I
right,
am.
all right, okay. Give it to us.
Yes. So the frame of reference that you have in and of itself is white supremacist because you said it's a colony, correct? And the
Right.
definition of a colony needs to be backed by state power, meaning that a country, usually the mother country, has to claim it. America had plenty of opportunities to claim Liberia. As a matter of fact, during the scramble for Africa during the Berlin Conference in 1884, the United States was invited to the Berlin Conference and still didn't claim Liberia as a colony. So
So
right there, Liberia was not
so
colonized in and
so
of itself. So that's completely debunked right there.
okay. So when these people came, right? Liberia, the place you call Liberia. So if you move into a land as a group and you have control over the people there, you change their language, you become their ruler, right? Against their will. Isn't that colonized? Isn't that what colonialism is?
No, that's not colonialism, because if that was colonialism, then by very definition, the Songhai Empire was colonial, the Mali
Yes.
Empire was colonial, the Zulu Empire was
No.
colonial. So therefore, there's no difference. Because I
So
mean, you're gonna really say that Black Americans are coming there against their will when literally we have examples of
no.
indigenous groups in Liberia, such as the Kondo Confederation. I'm still speaking. You have the Songhai Empire, the Wasala Empire in Guinea,
So
literally
wait,
waging wars. I'm talking.
wait.
You
Oh,
let me
no, no,
speak.
hold on, hold on. I'm the host. You gotta let me speak. I'll let you talk.
All right.
So what you are saying, that would mean the blacks that came to Liberia were the same people, as the natives. The natives see them as one and the same. They didn't see them as people encroaching on their land, right?
Many of them didn't. As a matter of fact, many of the indigenous
So,
Liberians accommodated with them.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. So, do you know that even in Africa, like amongst, quote unquote countries, there are countries that have even fought, they look similar, they speak similar languages, they fought over land. People do not, just because people look alike, that doesn't mean they want to give up their land to you. You think the natives were happy to be ruled by people different from them? Go ahead, Jabari.
First of all, we're treating the natives as if they are a monolithic group. They weren't a monolithic group. Even within themselves, they had their own indigenous nation. So that's the point. So even invariably, there was going to be
So the
conflict.
blacks came to destroy their nation. You do
They
realize
weren't there. They were not a nation. So that's
wait,
weird.
wait, Jabari. You just told me they were individual nations,
Right.
but then you turned back and said, no, they were not. So
No, I said they were nations, right?
so they are not the same as these people that came. Because if I come to your house right now, right?
Mhm.
Think about someone come to your house right now. Now they get to decide for you. I mean, no matter how cool you think you are with them, but they get to decide what you can or cannot eat out of the fridge. They get to tell you when you can go in or out of the house. So they dominate you. They have force. Would you consider that a nice relationship, like an equal relationship? They came, you have your house. It is not these people's house. They came and took over. What would you call that?
First of all, that whole frame of reference is disingenuous by itself because first of all, it's treating Black Americans as if they weren't African, and then it treats
No, they're
completely no,
Africans.
right, they are, but you sold us to begin with. So how did I
Who?
get there? These
Wait,
These African
Who
kingdoms,
sold you?
Who?
those
Well,
African
Jabari,
kingdoms.
Jabari, I already said this. Jabari, did you miss the first part of the show?
I did miss. I just catched up recently with.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I've already like I've said this already. Trust me. I've already pointed that out.
I've got a question for Jabari. I want to
Go ahead.
respond to Jabari.
Go ahead.
Jabari, since you're a Black American, do you admit that your ancestors were wrong for enslaving the natives? And do you agree that the natives had the right to overthrow these foreigners, these Black foreigners that came from America, who were ill-treating the natives as they were the elite of the country, as they were just tools of America?
No, because the reality of it is there was no slavery, and we have evidence of this. We have the 1930 Christie report that was given with the UN when the UN tried to look into Liberia. You can look up the 1930 Christie report dealing with Fernando Poe, and one of the conclusions that they came up with was the Anti-Slavery Convention said that there was no slavery in Liberia, and that the main reason why it dealt with that was because you have many indigenous towns, as well as the leadership under then Charles D.B. King, having forced labor crises within the Fernando Poe situation that was in Equatorial Guinea. So this whole idea that Liberia had
Wait, you
slavery is
said
disingenuous.
no. See, so
We
okay.
have the evidence. You can
Yeah.
literally look up the 1930 Christie report.
Well,
You can
we'll talk.
literally look up the slave trade in Liberia, and it will show the abolition of the slave trade. We have
No.
evidence of this, of
Well,
Joseph Jenkins Roberts to the
hold
American
on.
Colonization Society.
Hold on. So still, they did colonize Liberia because the natives were not the one running the show. They changed their language. They made the official language English. They brought Christianity there. Those
It was
people were not.
apartheid. It was
Yeah,
apartheid.
they created a apartheid system where
Yeah.
they made the natives their servants. Hey, that was what the story was.
First
You
of all,
know?
hold on. First of all, hold on. Let's take a step back for a second. If it was apartheid that you claim to be, during apartheid, last time I checked, there was no black leadership in apartheid South Africa. Now,
Okay,
the
Jabari, I
reason,
see
no,
where
the
you're
reason
coming
why,
from.
no,
Jabari,
the reason why I brought this up was because if the indigenous Liberians were excluded, then how come you had an indigenous vice president in the 1920s before Samuel Doe? You had an indigenous ambassador to
who?
Europe.
Wait,
Henry II Wesley.
who?
You can look up the name Henry II Wesley.
Are
Henry
you
II Wesley.
wait, are you looking at
Literally,
these pictures behind me here?
those are the presidents. Henry II Wesley was the vice president,
Okay,
not the pres, the
but
vice
what I'm
president.
saying,
He's in leadership position.
so
Period.
second class, huh?
They weren't second class. Again, they weren't second class.
They
If
weren't
it
even
was a
allowed to vote till 1940s. They weren't even allowed to vote.
So, Jawari, can you explain to everybody how come they ruled the country for 133 years then, the America Liberia?
Okay, so let's break it down, the evolution of Liberia and how Liberia emerged. You're talking about those particular indigenous groups that didn't vote till like the 1950s, or they ruled the area for a long period of time. When Liberia was first established, it was only the coastline. That's why if you look on a map of Liberia today, you will see on the coastline there are a lot of Western names. Maryland, you have Greenville, you have Buchanan. As you
Well,
go
you
into
missed
the
it. You
interior,
missed it.
no, because this is going to explain it.
Jabari,
Because you have, I'm
Jabari,
yeah,
Jabari, you do realize, like, when you hear about colonization in Africa, right? All these countries, even smallest like Gambia, you do realize it's not like they came and went into the territory. It's only on the coastline. That's where mostly the Europeans stop at. So the colonizers that came to Liberia, the same thing. It's no shocker that they stayed on the coastline. That's
But what
where
I don't
even
understand.
that's where they all stayed. Even the white version of them, they stayed on the coastline. They
But
never
what I
went
don't
into the
understand is
interior. They never control the interiors. Read about, when you hear colonization, then, most countries like Ghana, even Gambia, as small as it is, at one point they didn't colonize all of it. They just had small pockets by the coastline, just like they did in Liberia. But they had more colonizers in Liberia than they did in Gambia. Can you believe that?
But is he like not is he like denying what happened in Liberia? I mean,
Yeah, Jabari, are you
the
denying it?
no, I'm not saying there was no possible conflict or tension, but the
Oh,
reality of
okay.
it is the way that is explained and the way it's framed is
So
completely
Jabari,
disingenuous. It's completely disingenuous.
okay,
Period.
Jabari, you okay, Jabari. I'm not saying you probably missed the first part. I explained how, yeah, the black people, they definitely came from Africa, their ancestors. I talked about that. So do you think there's more understanding between Pan-African Black Americans and Africans that this will not occur again? Because one of the thing was the American Liberians felt more superior to the natives. So do you foresee this happening again, with this type of attitude that happened in Liberia? What do you think? I mean, you're Pan-Africanist, so are you there, Jabari?
Yeah, I'm there. Many
Okay,
Pan-Africanists still look to Liberia. Even before the 1980s, you had Marcus Garvey, you had Henry
right.
Rennie Turner. So this whole idea that Africans didn't look to Liberia as some sort of inspiration is disingenuous. You had Kwame Nkrumah who looked up to it, Kwame Ture. So like I said, this whole framework of, they brought this Western mentality and that they were a nation to be despised of is not true. If you look at the history of how they were involved within Africa, such as establishing the
No, they
African
did
organization,
some good. I talked about
a
the
lot
good.
of good.
Yeah,
But
I
the
talked
reality,
about it. The
The
British,
real
the
question
British,
is,
the British did some good too in Africa.
Yeah, but who, I mean, when we are talking about the native people right now, right, who were
Right.
at that time, who were segregated and worked on like horses, it was not a lot of good for them.
First of all, there were no
Ex-
horses in Liberia. It's just the tropical
No,
rainforest
she's
where
saying
No,
they
I
like
said
worked.
like a horse. They worked like
She
a
said they
horse,
worked them like horse.
and there are pictures where the black Americans sitting in
Oh
their
yeah, my
suits
last show.
and yeah, very nice suits sitting down, and while the natives with the maids and I mean, how good was that though for the natives? I think for the natives it must be very a shock for them. It was
Yeah,
Were
like
they, my
horrible for
question is,
them.
were they even
Jabari.
wanted to begin with?
Yeah, Jabari. So do you think it was good for the natives? Go ahead, Jabari.
yes. So the reality of it is, depending on which areas it was, the collaboration between African Americans and the indigenous was good. Yes, because you had plenty of examples of the indigenous groups still selling slaves and African Americans such as James Briggs Payne and
Yes, you're
Benjamin
right
J.K.
about that.
Anderson, who abolished the slave trade and allowed for them to come into society, be able to get an education, such as Pleonio Bay Wollo, who was the first African graduate from Harvard, who is from Liberia, that came from an indigenous group. You had indigenous Liberians who literally went to HBCUs in the 1870s, such as in Lincoln University. So this whole idea that the indigenous Liberians did not benefit from African Americans is delusional. It doesn't make any sense. Because the reality of it is,
No,
if it was so
but I'm
great, if
saying the
it was
ones who
so
were servants and being they didn't have rights. They were second class citizens. Of course,
Jabari, if
there's
black
going to be
Americans,
few.
if they were second class citizens as you said they were, then how did they get membership within the House of Representatives and became vice president or ambassadors to countries?
Well,
Because
few of them.
if they were second class citizens, they wouldn't have been in at all. The thought
No,
of it
no,
would have been
yeah,
problematic.
no, Jabari. Even in colonial times, in colonies, the people that are colonized, they still achieve high positions. The ones that
Some
go
of them.
along, yeah, some of them, that
Very few who
very
worked with
few,
those people.
yeah, that work with the
Exactly.
colonists. Even the white colonial people you hear about, they're not just doing it by themselves. The people that work are the people that they actually colonize. You do realize that, right?
That's not necessarily truly the case either. Because let's look at example in Cameroon, let's look at Nigeria, let's look at even in South Africa with the Orange Ball Free States, the Transvaal Free States, and all that during colonialism. The white government literally came in and literally massacred people wholesale, literally brutalized them.
They did that in Liberia too.
No, they did not. There
They,
was literally a
why
massacre.
don't you
There was literally a massacre
hold on,
of
hold on,
African
hold
Americans
on,
by
hold on,
indigenous people. Look
hold
up the
on.
Port Croissant massacre. So I don't know where
That
this
did
whole
happen.
massacre came in.
That did happen. Even go look up the rice riots. That's not even long. That's what even
The rice riots was literally in the 1970s. That was the
yes.
result of the William B.S.
So I'm
Putnam
just
regime
giving
for
you
the 20 years.
example. I'm just giving you
Yeah,
example.
and many of
If
those
it
people who led the rice riots were actually descendants of African Americans. So what is your claim? So what's the point? If those people who were leading the rice riots were also descendants of African Americans, the American Liberians, then explain
that's
how
not
come
that's not what the story is. I
that's
think I
not what
think
the
you know what
mainstream story is.
I think Jabari knows the story, but Jabari is nitpicking. Okay, he's nitpicking. I see what he's trying to do here.
No,
Jabari, I'm not. Hold on.
you're clearly nitpicking too.
No, Jabari knows the stories, and he's ignoring the story. He's shifting to only the few things that he want to highlight. That's what
Exactly.
he's doing. He knows the story.
Unless we have a native Liberian right here and
Mm-hmm.
talking for themselves. I mean, I'm just listening to one side, and the history tells totally different. When you subjugate these people and you make them second-class citizen, don't count me with 4 or 3 people that you put some positions. The majority of these people were marginalized,
Mm-hmm.
and now you're coming and you're showing the 3 people that you picked out from them, that doesn't mean anything unless a Liberian person, native Liberian person, would come here and tell their story. We just hear from one
Well,
side that's highlighting the best of it.
Jabari, you know this
There
also.
are plenty of native Liberians who can confirm that as
Hold
well.
on,
I've
hold
literally
on,
had interviews.
Jabari, you know, right? Even in the plantations, right? There were people who, black people who had a high status over the other black people there, who once they were slaves, but they rose up. You know, they work with the master and they are over other people. So every now and again, some people have the position, but that wasn't the norm, though. The majority of black people were enslaved, regardless. Even though some of these people, you know, were in charge, but that wasn't the condition for everybody. So some of the natives, of course, worked with the people, with, you know, the people that colonized their people. But that doesn't mean the majority enjoy the privilege that they were enjoying. And it doesn't negate, that's not the fact to prove that these things did not happen. They did, in fact, happen. It is recorded. But I've been here 2 hours. I'll give you guys the last words, and we'll be closing this time for sure. You, Jabari, do you have any last words?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, go for it, Jabari.
So I'm not denying that there weren't tensions between some African Americans and the indigenous population, but this whole framework as if the African Americans came here with this oppressive force when they didn't even have the numbers. It was about 16,000 and only about 3,000 of them went. When there's not taking of responsibility, the fact that the indigenous people were not a monolithic group and had their own interests, and to not include that is disingenuous. It's completely disingenuous. And to compare it to European colonialism, when they made it their whole goal to exterminate black people, anticipated the eugenics movement, is not a proper comparison, nor to apartheid South Africa, when apartheid South Africa was one of the most brutal regimes in the history of humanity, responsible for the atrocities not only in South Africa but in Southwest Africa. I think is completely disingenuous and it needs to be corrected, in my personal opinion.
Well, thank you, Jabari. You know, don't hesitate to call in. You're always welcome here. I like different perspectives.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, only me. The floor is yours.
Yes.
That was
Yes.
interesting. Yeah.
That was
But I
no.
like,
It's I
I
also.
mean, I like that he came to defend the
Yeah, of
position.
course, of course, of course. Yeah, you can defend when you have a position of defending something, but when the story is telling you otherwise, listen, we all have a nasty, disgusting history. Everybody has some sort of a nasty history, but we have to just admit and move on. But we cannot just like sugarcoat everything and say that did not happen and this did not happen and that did not happen.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, anyway, I'm not a native to that country, but whatever I've seen and read, and doesn't look good. It definitely doesn't look good. It looks like a white people in just chocolate color.
In chocolate color. So you
You just
agree with it, that? So yeah, I mean,
definitely.
yeah, it
I
is.
mean,
It
this.
is.
I think this is something that they've been through, and they think this is like, yeah, they can do the same thing to these people, right?
Yeah,
And
because
and that's
it
the
makes
sad part.
sense. Well, the thing is,
Mm,
for me, I don't look at it from the point of sad or not,
mm.
because people are only going to, exercise what they know, how to control, the type of control system they learn. When they are put in position, that's what they will practice. It's just human nature. Even anybody will say, oh, you would say, oh, those blacks did that. But you put another group, even another African group over, like the blacks were, if they were smart enough to conquer, trust me, they would do the same.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. But no, I don't know if I would do that to somebody. Whatever
I'm
they went
speaking,
through, I mean, if you're singing and crying about your pain, you
but
don't
you're
inflict
speaking
that
of
pain to another
today,
person, right? No, it doesn't matter. Even then, like they were human just like me, I hope. I mean,
right?
they were crying about their pain over there, and then you just come and inflict the same pain on these people.
Right.
I mean, come on now. These people, and these people look just like you. The same people like you are. That for me, that doesn't that doesn't make any sense. But to defend that, and to say, oh well, they used to sell slaves, and now I can justify that to just suppress them is disgusting. I mean, why not just take them in, and like, if they were not so civilized, why don't you civilize them and help them out? But segregation was like amazing. So yeah, anyway,
Someone said,
native
"Oh,
have to be
Afrodamus, you should let only me host the show one day." Sure, I'll let her
who's
host the
there?
show. Um,
Okay.
Macrobia wants you
Oh,
to share.
Macrobia. Yeah, that is H block actually.
Oh, I guess
That's H block. Anyway.
Gem Jewel agreed with you. Said true. The Liberian Constitution crying about their treatment in the U.S.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's the human. It's not a human nature actually to do that. What you don't want to be done on you, and then you do it to other people.
No,
Anyways,
Mr.
that's
Mr.
not
Trees,
my
Mr.
nature.
Trees said you guys make Native Africans look weak. No, Mr. Trees, I think you're missing the point. It's not about making one weak or not. You
These
know,
people did not come
so
with sticks. These people did not come with. These people came with white people with guns, and they had help. So I mean, it's not like these people were coming with sticks, of course. So the natives were surprised with these ships coming in with the weapons. So of course they will
you see,
lose.
Baruti said something. Said Africa has been a mess. There are violent conflicts in many countries. Just move on. Accept diasporans and continentals as equally African, and build from there. Promote Pan Africanism, Ubuntu. What do you have to say to that? Your last word to what
Oh
Baruti is a Pan Africanist. He or she always promotes
yeah,
that.
what I oh my goodness, what did she say again about Pan Africanist building something? Or that is that what he's mean?
Yeah, he said Africans and Pan Africans should get continental Africans and black
Should come together and
Africans.
build something.
Yeah,
Yeah, we can do that as long as there is a mutual respect, and you don't look at the natives again coming from abroad, looking at the natives down, and then, well, that's never going to happen. And there's a lot of people who have this mindset that we are better. I came from America, my goodness, I'm so much better than you. If as long as you have that mentality, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
yeah. Be lovely. Hit the link. It's on there. Well, only me. Thank you very much.
You're
I'll give
welcome. Have a nice evening.
enjoy. Be lovely. I'll give you a couple minutes to join in, but the link is pinned right there. Um, you probably see it right there. Just hit that. It would bring you straight to where I'm at here. Mr. Trees said Pan Africanism can't work with your warped African mindset. I wish Mr. Tree would hit the link. I mean, I want to hear your perspective. To be honest, like I want to know what part of the African mindset you quote unquote call warped, so we can talk about it. Um, FBA Niger, Afridamos must hate Nigerians then. FBA Niger, what do you mean? Oh, you mean because they go and conquer places? No, I do not hate Nigerians. In fact, I'm cool with Nigerians. Shout out to my Niger people. All right, Beatrice.
Epidamus.
Beatrice, where you calling from?
Hey, so I am a native
Of like,
Liberian,
oh, perfect,
and
perfect.
right now, I'm in Ghana.
Uh huh.
My journey. Can you hear me, Claire? Is it
Loud,
clear?
loud,
Sorry,
loud
because
and
I
loud,
know the data.
loud and clear.
I'm s- okay.
What happened?
People like Liberia wasn't colonized. It was colonized 100%. And there's this
Sorry,
whole
I missed that.
divide
I
and
missed you
conquer.
there. So you're saying that Liberia was colonized? That's the part I
Yes,
heard.
I am here.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, it was colonized 100%.
Mhm.
Amongst when it comes to the native Liberians and the American Liberians, there's a huge division because I grew up in the US because of the war. My family
Mhm.
relocated to
Right.
the US. And one thing I noticed is when you're educated, right? When you become an educated native Liberian, there
Mm-hmm.
is this huge insert of American Liberians. What they try to do is they try to control you.
Oh man, she was talking so good. I hope she can. I think she got the Ghana internet. Let's see. Let's see. Baruti Katimbo said, Afridamus, you're cool with African Americans since you live in the United States, a country where they live. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've always been cool with, Black Americans. Um, so I don't know what you really mean by, um, I don't know if that's a rhetorical question, but Beatrice, something happened to your internet. I think you have the what's the name of the Ghana internet service again? The biggest internet provider in Ghana. Okay, there's Beatrice.
Afrodamus,
Beatrice,
please tell me you
which
can hear me.
I can hear you. Are you using the Ghanaian internet? Can you hear me? Oh man, I don't know what happened to her.
Please tell me you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so from my experience as a native Liberian, for someone both my parents are native to Liberia, and
Okay,
I
so
was
you're not
also born
mixed.
in Liberia.
So you are not mixed at all, right?
Let me sit close to my 1 second.
Yeah, we want to hear you so bad, but your internet is not doing you. So pretty much what I'm gathering from Beatrice, which makes sense, which is even the educated natives were still acting just like the elites. That's how it is in all these other countries. Oh man, Beatrice, I hope your internet works this time around. So you were talking about the educated.
Is
Take it from there. Go ahead.
Damn, why is it not connecting?
I can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, go
So
ahead.
this whole idea of people saying Liberia wasn't colonized, it is colonized because from a personal experience, there's this whole divide and conquer mentality when it comes to dealing with those that are more so American descendant. Now, let me tell you my story. So when you're an educated native Liberian, what the Americans tries to do is they try to get you to pretty much intermarry within the American, I want to say, circle.
Yeah.
um they try to get you to more so assimilate to them, take on their identity. For instance,
Oh,
my
okay.
last name, there's a way. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
When it comes to my last name, there's a way you can pronounce my last name that makes it sound more American compared to when you drop the R, that makes it sound more native.
Or is that why
And
some
growing
of the
up,
natives change?
I'm sorry?
I say, is that why, like some of the natives, even they would take the American Liberian last names?
No, in order for the natives to work, they had to take on the American last names.
Okay.
So that's what they consider them house boys, house girls.
Yes,
So they
that's
had to take
colonization.
on the American, yeah, they had to take on the American last names. So when I have a degree in IT, so I used to help out a lot of people. Like I would help those that were considered the Americas, because growing up in the U.S., I lived in an affluent area. My family, I come from a background of nurses.
Yeah.
So I grew up in a nice neighborhood. So I ended up growing up in a nice area in Maryland. I have my degree in information system management. And a lot of people were trying to get into IT. So what I would do was I would help them, fix things like their resume, help them get the job. But then when it came to like when we would go to parties and things of that nature, and then people found out that I was native, it was always like, oh, how did you get this job? How did you get here?
Really,
So
the American Liberians are the ones saying
yeah,
this?
yeah. And then people would say, oh, yeah. So I used to ask a lot of questions. Well, if you guys run the country, right? Because I grew up in the US, I didn't grow up in Liberia. So I used to ask, if you guys run the country, then you guys should be way more wealthier than what I'm seeing, because we all live technically in the same area, or a lot of the America's kids couldn't even afford living in the area that I live in, which
Oh,
was considered.
so in America you live better than them.
Yeah. And then
Okay.
they kept saying, oh, because America equalizes us, America equalizes us.
Oh, wow.
They'll make statements like that.
So
So
they don't like that American system favors you.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
and
Okay.
people would try to make it like downplay me and stuff like, oh, how you get that government job, how you get this job, how you been a banker for X, Y, and Z years. So the reason why I chose to come on today, because us natives, we really need to speak out because it's a problem.
Hmm.
For instance, when I started my journey relocating back to Africa, I went to Tanzania. And because I saw the changes coming, so I said to myself, hey, let's go back to Africa. And at the time, based on everything that I've saved up, I felt that, okay, it would be easier to start a business in Tanzania than relocate back to West Africa. But when I got to Tanzania, all this pan-Africanist or pan-Africanism, like a lot of that is not true, because once they found out that I was a native,
Yeah.
it's like no one was trying to help me. It was one or two people in Tanzania that helped me. Even here, when I got to Ghana, I'm in Ghana right now. I'm tired of, sitting back and not saying anything. When I got to
So why not
Ghana,
Liberia? So what's going on over there? Actually, I'm gonna have to, give you my email here. But so tell us what's going on. So when they find out, so you are native, they
yeah,
didn't.
yeah, it's weird because I'm like, okay, here are people that I'm thinking, because I'm very spiritual. I'm about all things, just blacks, melanin, studying, trying to understand everything about history. So coming back into Africa and seeing a lot of these YouTubers pretending like they really truly love the Africans, that's BS. It's not
So
true, because when I
why
started
didn't
in
you go to Liberia?
the reason why I didn't go to Liberia, because with the whole vaccine, I wasn't too sure. I asked a lot of questions around, because I know yellow fever vaccine is recommended. I'm sorry, is required. But when I was trying to do all of my history, when I was doing my research, they kept saying a lot of other vaccines were
Required?
required. So Tanzania, to enter, you don't have to get certain vaccines. Okay, you can enter and then get your yellow fever vaccines and things in Tanzania, and then relocate to West Africa. So for me, that was a little bit more comfortable for me, based on everything that was going on in the U.S. I'm not fond of putting a lot of things in my body.
So do you
So
think all this, like, do you think the wider Liberian population, like the natives, are open to welcoming a lot of African American repats, like at this? Because people are talking about all this
I think as of
repatriation thing, like,
now,
yeah. What
I
it
think
suits
as of
you?
now, I think a lot of people have learned from Liberian history. Um, because especially when I started in Tanzania, it bothered me to sit there and hear some of the comments people were making about Africans. You know, how slow the African was, um, you know, how dirty and just different things. And I would sit there and look at them and I'm like, you do know I'm African, right? And
Oh,
think
they didn't know
about
you were African. Okay, so
it's no, it's like this, right? In Tanzania, everyone are trying to survive. The difference between Tanzania and Ghana is a lot of the diasporas there, they're more so trying to survive. So when you
really,
come in, people, they latch onto you.
oh man, she was talking so good. Let's see who's that.
So let's
Multi.
whatever
We
job,
we
whatever it is you
we're not
used to do.
Liberian. Oh, that's my light skinned cousin empowering us. But keep going.
Yeah, so they would pretty much sort of assess you and then try to connect you with different people, and then the more and more you sit and chat with people, you learn that their perception of the African is wrong. Is crazy. And then when people learn that I was Liberian and a native Liberian at that, because I'm very proud, and plus my name is fully African. If you hear my name, you know I'm African. And it's
So
like
you didn't
they
take American name?
I'm not American. I'm native. My family made
Oh,
sure we kept.
so the title I said Liberia was colonized by white men in blackface
Mhm.
because the ideology wasn't the same, right?
Of course, the ideologies were never the same. It's still not the same to this day.
Huh?
We were
Interesting.
colonized. People just don't like to don't like to
Admit,
admit it. Even when
right?
I try to, when I've always said, yeah, we're colonized. It's two different mindsets. It's two different groups, two different cultures. Even with us coming back, right? With those of us coming back in the modern age or a lot of people don't even understand basic things like herbs. People don't understand how to survive with just basic bugs like
You mean
mosquito,
the
right? How we're
American Liberians or the new Pan
I'm
Africans?
I'm just talking about us in the modern age,
Okay,
right?
like when you say us, who?
We can those of us repass expats, diasporas returning back
Okay.
to Africa that haven't been on the continent for the past 5 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for us to do certain things, just the
Okay.
basic things. It's very, very hard for us to do it without the natives in those countries. So when people sit here and try to make it seem like Liberia wasn't colonized, it was colonized. To this day, when you meet in America, they always tell you, oh no, I'm Congo. I'm not country, I'm Congo. You're the country people. And then when they
Oh,
find out you're educated and you're one of those that fights back, because I fight back. Oh, then they try to downplay you. Oh my, calm down, calm down. You know it's just a title. It's not a big deal. But it's
le-
all BS.
yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you're hearing this from a native Liberian. So for those of you that want to come and debunk the history that I'm bringing here, you hear. I mean, she probably missed the first part of the show, but isn't she
I did.
repeating the same?
Sorry.
See, she's repeating exactly what I said here, how I analyzed it. So I'm just here to,
And
bring it. That's all. I'm not trying to create commotion. Oh, wait, Empire
and
Nader said
Africanos,
it
I
was
want to
only
say one
five. No,
thing.
it's 16,000. Go ahead.
I want to say one thing. And then another thing is when I got here to Ghana, because I decided to settle first in Ghana before relocating to Liberia because the economy is a little bit more stable. And plus I'm also in
In
IT.
Ghana.
So yeah,
You
I'm
know,
in
I wanna,
IT.
since you repatriated, I would wanna set it up and bring you on a special interview to tell us
Okay.
what is happening. But keep
Okay.
going. Yeah.
And so I chose Ghana because Ghana economy is a little bit more stable, and then internet or data. Well, internet is very important because of the field that I'm in.
Yeah, well, they
When
gotta
I
work
got
on this
here,
internet. This internet is worse than
yeah,
Obama's internet.
yeah. But let me tell you something, Afrodamos. What made me to speak out tonight? When I got here,
Mhm.
I tried to connect with different people, and I'm gonna try not to get emotional because I know the world we're in. Every time when they find out, when some of the diasporas, when they find out that I'm a native Liberian, they shut the door. Like they literally shut the door. I met this individual when I was going through immigration, trying to get things like my residency set up.
In Ghana?
Yes, in Ghana. And the conversation he started was, oh, wait, are you a native Liberian or American descendant? And then I said, well, I was born in Morovia. And that was the end of the conversation.
Was
So
this
when people,
person a Liberian?
he's American that's married to a Liberian, an
Oh,
American Liberian.
oh, okay.
So it's that's been my journey. Even I could see I've met Liberians that are American descendant. You can tell from the phenotype, our phenotypes don't look the same.
Yes, you see
Okay,
the
the
pictures
phenotype.
behind. You
I'm
see
sorry.
you see the
Yeah,
pictures behind.
I see the picture behind you. JJ Roberts a mixed was a mixed race. He's mulatto. Our phenotype, a lot of our phenotypes don't look the same. Okay, that's a huge difference. And people keep saying here, trying to make it seem like, oh no, we're all one. It's not the truth. You can tell the huge difference.
So did you
There's
hear
this Liberian.
the Pan African, what that Pan African said, Jabari?
I don't watch him. I don't his
No, he
spirit.
said
I'm not
something.
fond of his spirit.
He called on before you came. I was
Oh,
what
right. I'm sorry, Jabari. I heard him. I heard him.
what do you think about what Jabari was saying?
What Jabari is saying, what he's saying is like you said, he's picking and choosing
Okay,
the
yeah,
part of the story he wants the world to know.
right.
Okay, it's all about who's carrying, who's controlling the narrative. When you look on social media, it's all the diaspora and those of American descendant over here carrying or pushing the narrative. Okay, America came and created this. Americans came and did this. But the truth is, American couldn't do any of that without the natives at all. Okay, and the truth is everybody knows that the American had this system. Okay, this system where you, in order for them to teach you or educate you or employ you, you have to change your last name to theirs. Okay,
So
that's why
like a
if you,
slave master.
like, right, like a slave master. So if you see a lot of native Liberians that have Americans, I'm sorry, if you, right, if you see a lot of native Liberians, if you look at the phenotype and they're native but have American last names, it's because of that. Majority of that extended from that. So in order for you to work, you had to become a Johnson or a Scott or a Jones and so forth.
So like Charles Taylor, he's definitely American part
Yeah,
because
he's
he has
American.
his phenotype, his skin tone, or
Is
he's more
definitely
black
American.
American.
You can see the difference in between us. If you put a bunch of us in one room, okay, you when you walk in, you can see the difference between the America's phenotype versus the native, even if they're intermixed with an American. You can still
Yeah,
see the
because Charles
difference.
Taylor's mom is native, but he's still very American looking, American black looking.
Yeah.
He's like lighter skin. I mean, not as light as my light skinned cousin, but he's pretty light. Doctor
Yeah,
R,
there's a lot
Uh,
of there's and the
I've got
whole
a question for the
idea
sister
is
on the panel.
and people keep
okay.
making it seem like it's the same group that came. majority of those Liberians that came, those Americans that came, or free slave descendants were mulatto descendant. Okay, the same system still exists. For instance, for me, I'm dark skinned and I have a lot of hair. I have a lot of hair. Growing up, it's always this thing. Oh, mom, why you want to be so country? You're beautiful. You got fine hair. You sure you're not mixed
Oh,
with anyone else? Like,
huh.
no, I'm not mixed with anyone else. It's all that system is still in place to this day. I
Wow.
have a lot of hair on my skin. I have a lot of hair on my hair,
Wow,
on my head.
that's some real elitist colonialist mindset.
Is it in the diaspora, may I ask?
No,
I'm sorry.
she's
The American Liberian and the native Liberians in America, do they like intermix, or is it completely like segregated? Like, do the American Liberia associate more with the Black Americans, or they intermarry amongst themselves? Like, is there how are community relations outside the country?
So I don't want to say certain groups intermix with certain groups just to maintain the power. I think it's more so just a power structure. Because even I had an American that I'm gonna skip that. It's okay. There's still a level of division because the American intermix with certain groups that are easier. I want to say easier to I don't let me not say that dominate because certain groups don't refuse to intermix with others, if that makes sense.
Hmm. This situation reminds me of Cuba.
of what?
This situation is similar to Cuba, how the
Oh,
white
Cuba.
elite,
Oh,
the
oh,
white
with the
the white Cubans, how they used to rule the country, but the majority of them have left, have took the wealth, and they are. If you go to America, to certain states or cities in America, the white Cubans live in affluent areas, and they don't
man.
intermix with the mulattoes or the black Cubans,
So
You
and they're
know,
let me make this
Republican.
statement, right? Certain tribes have reproduced at a larger rate, if that makes sense. So you would have an America that try to suck you off your feet, man. Come on by me, I will take care of you. You'll not have anything to worry about like that.
so the America would they have game like
Yeah, it's
they,
it's like a game thing, but I
their
think
their pimp hand is strong.
yeah. So the reason why they more
Hey,
so even
you see,
intermix.
the pimp hand was imported to Liberia. I see they still got the game, but keep going.
Yeah, the only reason why some the Americans intermix with the natives, I don't know the right term, but it's almost like you born the child and the child end up favoring the person, those that dominates or that's within
Oh,
power.
okay, okay,
So
I
it
see what you're saying. Okay.
yeah, because it's always like that. So when the child is mixed with two groups and you're trying to have a conversation, they automatically interjects and say, hey, well, I'm half X, Y, and Z, and I'm also half X, Y, and Z. And if you look at the structure within Liberia, certain groups, um, for instance, the Golas or the Basas, you'll find a lot more American intermixture with them compared to groups like the Dons or the Crown groups or the Pellet or other natives groups.
Hmm. Okay, well, I'm really glad you came. I'll have to bring you in on a special show because this we've heard things about Liberia on this internet streets. They've been making it sound so juicy that the natives and in fact the natives were dancing when the blacks came. Almost that's what they make it sound
No,
like. So
that's
I'm
not
saying
true.
no, it was colonialism, just in blackface.
Yeah, because the thing is, I think was it my great grandmother was telling me that they went around. It's something she was saying. They went around. They went around first. They went to different neighboring nations, and asked to
Yes.
settle on their land.
Yes.
And those nations refused. Even when it came to Liberia, we refused. There are even still tribes, or for instance, that's why I'm saying that the Americas intermix with certain tribes, because there are certain tribes that refuse to this day, and we still have that problem, or that stigma. So when they came around, we refused as
Well, they
well.
put a gun on them. They did
Yeah,
say that.
till the chief and stuff were held at gunpoint and so forth. And then also, people are not touching on the fact that a large percentage of the Americans died due to mosquito
Yeah,
and not
malaria.
even malaria and stuff, and not being able to sustain themselves till we actually help them, and then in return they turn around and treated us like dirt, and they
Oh, they
still
did it just
pollute.
so like Thanksgiving. Do you guys celebrate Thanksgiving in Liberia?
We everything,
Oh,
everything.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
So,
literally
so, so,
everything.
so this Pan-Africanists are tricking people, telling black people leave America just to go act like
Oh,
American in Liberia and be
let me
hated.
tell you a funny
Okay.
story. I know you like Go Black, but let me tell you a funny story. I met Go Black in Tanzania.
Uh-huh.
Um, I messaged him and I said, hey, I'm new. It seems like you have connection. I'm new to Tanzania. I'm in IT. Um, I would love to connect X, Y, and Z. And I saw him at this event. It was a comedy show. And I said to him, hey, Go Back, how are you? I'm Beatrice. I emailed you. And and he was like, hey, he was like, where are you from? I said, no, I told him I'm African. I told him I'm from Liberia. I told him I'm African. And he was like, you're African. Where are you from? I said, I'm from Liberia. And he said to me, why didn't you say you're American? And there was another
He
Tanzanian
said
sister
what?
standing next to me. And we looked at each other and
He
I
said, he said, what?
why didn't I tell him that I was American?
This is what go.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to, but keep going. Okay.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like everybody walking around making it seem like everybody have the best interest of the
So
African.
wait, go black.
It's
Go black said, why didn't you say you American? Is
yeah. Why didn't you
so?
say you're American? Because I'm not American. I'm
But go
African.
black said he's African, though. I didn't know that.
I'm just letting you know my experience. Okay. I'm letting you know my experience. The reason why I choose to come out and speak to this is because I notice there is this big community of people going around making it seem like they love the African, they're all about the African, and then when you meet them, especially in Tanzania, it was crazy. You meet
Okay.
them, it's like
So
the African is this, the African is that. Oh, but you're not like them because you're smart. Oh, what school did you go to?
my God, Beatrice, this is like a blessing for you because we've been I've been getting all kind of messages thrown at me from this Pan-Africanist, from the word I'm divisive, I'm a troll, I'm an agent. But look at it, you are over there with them. You're
Yeah,
over there with them, so there's a reason why they are getting upset. We didn't know, so this is an American thing.
yeah. It took, it's like coming in and everyone you think you're supposed to connect with, they're not even close to who they're saying they are. Like almost everyone, all the major YouTubers, I don't care at this. I'm tired of sitting and just watching stuff happen and listening to stuff. Like literally, when I got here, I had to tell myself, "Hey B, why you keep trying to connect with X, Y, and Z groups when you're an African in Africa?" Like literally, someone referred me somewhere. It's almost like they were mocking me. They saw
Oh
my
wow.
full name. They knew that I'm African, but they referred me to a department that they knew was going to turn me down. But when I got there, it actually worked in my favor. And then when I called the person, at first, when I thought the department here in Ghana was going to turn me down, Oh, they were like, oh yeah, you are a naturalized U.S. citizen. So because yeah, you're not American.
Oh, they're trying
But
to
then
take your American card. Hold on, I have
it's
someone here that
it's
has a
it's
question for you. Mo, think before you type. Go ahead.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, yeah, this is a really great discussion, by the way. Um, and it was very funny as well. But I have a question for the sister. But before I get to that, one of the things I've noticed about when it comes to the term American, where basically, where somebody are confused in that, in that terms, one of the things I've noticed is that people that are, immigrant people who are, black and brown, anytime they come to the, in the U.S., whether they're born for, whether their family was there for, hundreds of years, or, or whether they're there for 1,000 years, they're never given basically the title American. They'll always be called a Native American or African American or Hispanic American or Asian American. But a European guy can come from Europe, and as soon as he becomes a citizen, he's automatically given the title American. So that's one of the
Oh,
terminologies, one of the things.
you mean the prefix?
The prefix, yeah. But just right now, if you see a African American person, let's just say, when they've been here for hundreds of years, but when you ask them, you know, or even the white people in the government, they don't put them as American. You know what I mean? They put them as African American or Black American. So even in the system, they're registered not as American, but just as basically as, African. Their descent, where they're
So
from first.
so
To that person.
what's your point?
Oh yeah,
I'm
that was
trying to
just
I'm
yeah,
trying to
no, no,
follow.
yeah, no, I get it. But that was just the terminology. One of the things I've noticed, the title of American is usually reserved to white people. Is what I'm trying to say. But that's just another topic. But the
Yeah, we're
question I have
talking
for the sister,
Liberia.
yeah, the
so are
question
you
I have for
saying
the
you
sister.
prefer for me to use African American?
No, no, you can, yeah, for you to use is your native country, where you from. That is the correct term. You know what I mean? But here in the Western world, everything is just upside down. Is what I'm trying to say. It's like they only reserve the European, like American, to what European and white people are. They'll never give that same status to the people that's been here for thousands of years or hundreds of years. Is what I'm
You know,
trying to say.
like okay,
But the question I have,
that's a whole
yeah,
different topic.
no,
You know,
I
I
get
don't
it.
want. Okay,
Yeah,
go
but the
ahead.
question I have for the sister is that when it comes to Liberia, I have noticed that a lot of ships, right? A lot of the boats, the ships, they are registered in Liberia,
You mean
and
you mean like
the shipping
the
the
shipping industry.
the shipping industry, a lot of them are registered in Liberia, and one of the reasons, I mean, hopefully the sister can go more into it, which I'm really curious to know, but what is the reason for why a lot of European, a lot of countries, they're registered in Liberia? Is it because of avoiding taxes and not paying labors? Can you please give us more perspective on that? Thanks.
I mean, I would think that's a question for someone that's, in the government and not necessarily me. Because yeah, I think that's a question for they
Okay.
would answer that.
No, all right. I appreciate it. Yeah, and I actually respect that because a lot of times when people doesn't know something, they'll try to make up excuses. But it's better to give it an honest answer. But thank you though. That was pretty much what I have to say.
Well, thank you. Okay, let's see. Something happened to her internet. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you guys got it. Beatrice, by all means, we'll have to set up an interview for you to come here. Let's have the conversation about Pan Africanism in Africa. Okay, you definitely gotta come back. Um, let's see. Think before you type. Think before you type. I don't know what happened to her. She fell off. Her internet disappointed her. Okay, there she is. Okay. So Beatrice.
Yeah.
Definitely. So my contact is on my page there. My email, I
Okay.
sent it to. So by all means, communicate to me so you can come to the show here, and
Okay.
because over here we talk about what is going on with the Pan Africanism, the mindset, and you can tell us how they really think about the Africans too. So
Yeah.
so
I
we
don't
we
know
would
about this.
definitely talk about that. I don't even want to open that can. If not, we're gonna go more hours, but we'll
Okay.
save that for the next show. But let's stay in touch. Do you have any last words?
Not really. I just want people to admit to the wrongdoing that were done to the native. Um, I am tired of us being pushed aside as if we didn't contribute to anything within the country, because everything that was built on the backbone of the native. For example, right? One thing I keep asking people, when you look at America's temperature, America has 4 different seasons. So if you're coming from an environment that has 4 different seasons, or where the temperature is way different, how do you survive in or on a land that
It's
has a completely
rainforest,
different temperature,
right?
right, than yours? And what about the forest? What about all of those different factors, the animals, different wildlife and things you're not accustomed to? So people try to make it seem like, oh yeah, the natives are nothing. The Americans came and they built everything. They educated us. No, they had that same divide and conquer mentality that the white slave masters imposed on them, and they still have that same divide and conquer mentality till this day. If you're educated and you're native, they
Yeah.
do whatever it takes, okay, to get you to assimilate into their little wannabe
Co-
bougie American society. It's
Yeah.
like my so okay, I'll wait
So
for
so
next
how do
time.
they
I don't
how
want to
do
go
they
on.
hold on, Beatrice? How do they treat, like, to the present day African American, like Black American who never migrated, the ones that live here? Do they welcome the Black Americans? Let's say like Go Black people, someone like Go Black. Like, are
Okay,
the American Liberians, are they more open to them than natives?
it's for some reason it's this weird thing that I feel like there's a system being created that where it's like this new construct of, or this new structure of Black Americans and Caribbean Americans identity. It's like it's re-changing or shifting the history of Liberia, because I'm noticing that a lot of Caribbean Americans are claiming Liberia, but it's like we are two different groups. Like the history is not the same, you know? And even I met a YouTuber here that was like, oh yeah, my friend is the founding fathers of, Liberia. So if you need documents to get into Liberia, just let us know. And I'm like, do you know who I am? Do you don't see my last name? Like, do you know who I am? I can get into my country with no problem. So it's like another thing I noticed is people been doing whatever it took to get me citizenship in different countries.
So do you think they
People
want to
been doing,
create a class system?
yeah, it's like this class system of Jamaican, I want to say Caribbean Americans and Black Americans being the dominant force or dominant community in Liberia. That's what I'm noticing.
Hmm.
But growing up, it wasn't like that. But then within the past, let's say 10 to 15 years, I saw that more and more Liberians started marrying, American Liberians started marrying Jamaicans, Americans, or those from the Caribbean.
Oh,
So
so they would
it's kind
rather
of like that
marry.
new identity. I'm sorry?
So they would rather marry Black American or Caribbean
Yeah,
than that. So it's obvious that it's, they see themselves as above the
as
natives, like
superior.
because as superior. Okay.
Yeah, it's trust me,
So the
it
Pan-Africanists
does.
are not telling us the truth then.
They're not. They're not telling you the truth at
Ladies and
all.
gentlemen, what did I tell you guys? At
They're
the
not.
Afridamus report, this is where you would get the raw truth. The raw truth. I mean, Beatrice here is almost like, like the undercover brother. You know that, have you ever seen that movie called the Undercover Brother with
Yeah,
Eddie
a long
Griffin?
time ago. Yeah, with the
So you are
accent.
there.
Yeah.
They don't know that you are, native Liberian because you grew up in Liberia, in America. You're more like American, so you get to hear everything at its real raw stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really appreciate you coming here at the Afridamus Report. You have no idea how much people love this. And but before I let you go, someone wrote a very important question that I wanted to ask you. But again, it's Baruti Katimbo. Baruti is actually, he's a Pan-Africanist. Every time I do shows about Pan-Africanism, he gets active. He asks questions. He's genuinely interested. So Baruti wants to know. Um, he said, Afridamus, please ask your guest, Beatrice, again, if she supports African American engagement, including repatriation with Liberia.
I support all blacks that loves their brothers and sisters and sees them as equal. Just because someone looks like you, it doesn't mean that they have your best interests. So I support those returning that have the best interests for the Africans, sees the African as an equal, and understand the great history that the African comes from. I support those, okay? But I don't support the ones that are returning pretending to like the Africans, pretending that they're in support of the African developing the continent, okay? But all they're doing is just promoting their YouTube channel, trying
And
to
getting,
get, promoting their business and so forth.
you
So if
know,
you have the best interest of the continent, I support you. I support all things black, all things melanin. That's me.
well, I mean, thank you for coming for sure. Next, when you come, I would want to interview you, ask you questions about, are these guys getting all these citizenships in Africa, these different countries? What is it is all about? And maybe we can look into helping my light skinned cousin, empowering Edos to get her citizenship in Nigeria finally, because she part Nigerian. Empowering Edos, she part Nigerian. she
And
she's
I'm
about she's probably losing it right now, but yeah, definitely thank you for coming.
no, thank
it's
you,
been it's been
Africanos.
eye-opening, for more people, because last time I did this show about Liberia, also about the colonization, I had a couple Liberians want to make the argument. I'm like, come on, if someone came and took over your land, that's called colonization, and I'm glad you are willing to speak the truth. But
Yeah,
thank you for coming. Please make sure you reach out.
I will for sure. Thank you so much. Okay, thank
Thank you.
you.
Have a good one. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Beatrice. Okay, so she came, she laid it out just like you guys heard it. And I hope you guys have learned, good lesson from this. I would try to have her come here and give us the Pan African scoop, because it's not only me. You guys also, you guys knew something wasn't right. Am I lying? I'm not trying to be messy here. I just want to know, just like you want to know. That's all. That's why I'm asking these questions. So that's why I'm a firm believer that you never know who's watching. You never know who's watching. Little did we know, the American Liberians in Liberia, they still had their own little, glass slave colony with their little Native Africans. So to join the class, you got to change your name. You see? So I didn't even go deep into that, but coming from a person from there, hey, you heard it here at the Afridamus Report. So please make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Don't be a stranger here. Hopefully you would catch Beatrice when she comes here again. But until then, like and share. In fact, tomorrow I'm gonna do a show. You know, Tariq Nasheed and the Somalis had a beef on Twitter. Long videos. I'm talking some crazy, funny story here. We will break that down here too. You don't want to miss that. Okay? All right. Have a good one.
Entre más lejos, más feliz. Era un veneno y lo bebí. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Siempre sé la peli esa actriz, pero ya vamos llegando al fin. Yeah, yeah. Somos felices a distancia. Ya no aguanto tu fragancia. Tú no